The world around you has begun to slow its spinning, settling into a rhythm of soft shadows and quiet breath. Before we begin our journey upward, I invite you to find the most comfortable position your body can imagine. Let the surface beneath you rise to meet your weight, supporting every muscle, every bone, every thought. You're in a sanctuary of your own making, a place where the demands of the day cannot reach you. There is a heavy, warm blanket of tranquility wrapping itself around your shoulders, tucking you in, signaling to your mind that it is time to rest. Close your eyes and notice how heavy your eyelids feel, as if they are sealed by the gentle touch of sleep itself. Breathe in deeply, drawing in the cool, still air of the night, and release it slowly, letting go of any tension that might be lingering in your jaw, your neck, your hands. Picture the room around you dissolving into a soft, velvety obsidian. The walls are gone, the ceiling has faded away. You're safe, warm and suspended in a comfortable capsule of peace, floating gently upward. As you drift, the noises of the earth, the traffic, the hum of electronics, the chatter of the day fade into a distant, meaningless whisper. They're replaced by the profound, resonant silence of the cosmos. This is a space of infinite potential and infinite rest. You're not just looking at the night sky, you're becoming part of it. You're a voyager of the dreamscape, weightless and free. As we ascend into this dark, glittering cathedral, we leave behind the concept of time. Here, there are no clocks, no schedules, no deadlines. There is only the eternal present, the slow and majestic rotation of the universe. Allow your imagination to open like a lens, widening to take in the grandeur above. We're about to drift through the river of stars, touching upon the secrets they keep, letting the knowledge of the cosmos soothe you into a deep, restorative slumber. Let the darkness hold you. Let the stars guide you. You're perfectly safe here, drifting in the velvet embrace of the night. As you float in this weightless expanse, cast your mind's eye toward the sheer scale of what lies before you. Imagine standing on a beach at night, the sand cool beneath your feet. If you were to pick up a single grain of sand, just one tiny rough fragment of silica, and hold it at arm's length against the dark sky, that single grain would cover a patch of darkness containing thousands of galaxies. The universe is not merely large, it is a canvas of infinity that defies the boundaries of human comprehension. In our own galaxy alone, the Milky Way, there are hundreds of billions of stars, each one a sun, perhaps warming its own silent planets. Picture these stars not as distant points of data, but as a vast glowing ocean. If you could count one star every second, ticking by like the rhythm of a slow, resting heartbeat, it would take you thousands of years just to count the stars in our own celestial neighbourhood. This vastness is not meant to make you feel small in a way that is diminishing. Rather, it is meant to wrap you in the comfort of abundance. There is so much room here. There is endless space for your mind to wander without hitting a wall. The crowded nature of earthly life dissolves in this expanse. Here, the lights are plentiful, scattered like diamonds on black velvet, stretching out forever, promising that there is always more horizon, always more depth, and always more peace to be found in the endless numbers that make up the night. From this overwhelming abundance of light, we drift gently to the nature of the light itself. When you gaze up at a star twinkling softly in the distance, you're engaging in a form of time travel that requires no machine, only your eyes and your wonder. The light that touches your retina tonight left its source years, centuries, or even millennia ago. Picture a beam of light as a traveller, a silent messenger moving through the vacuum of space, carrying a postcard from the past. It has travelled through the cold, empty void, dodging dust and gas, solely to land upon your eyes at this exact moment. Consider the star Sirius, the brightest jewel in our night sky. The light you see from it tonight began its journey over 8 years ago. But other stars are much further. If you look toward the constellation of Orion, The light from the shoulder of the hunter has been travelling since the Middle Ages. You're not seeing the universe as it is now, you're seeing it as it was. The night sky is a grand history book, open and glowing, telling stories of ancient eras. This realization brings a profound slowness to the experience of stargazing. Nothing happens quickly here. The sky's a museum of ancient light, preserving the past in a suspended state of beauty. As you sleep, you're bathed in this ancient glow, a light that has travelled across the architecture of time just to watch over you as you rest. As we pull our focus closer to home, drifting from the ancient depths of deep space to our nearest celestial companion, we find the moon. Visualize it hanging there, a luminous pearl in the dark ocean. There is a steadfast loyalty to the moon that acts as a visual anchor for our nights. No matter how the moon spins or where it travels in its orbit around our Earth, it always shows us the exact same face. This phenomenon, known as tidal locking, means the moon rotates on its axis at the exact same speed that it orbits the Earth. It is a cosmic dance of perfect synchronization, a waltz that has been perfected over billions of years. Imagine the comfort of this constancy. The man in the moon, the craters and the dark seas of cooled lava that form the familiar patterns we know, have looked down upon every human being who has ever lived. Ancestors from thousands of years ago looked up and saw this same face, just as you do now. The far side of the moon, the side we never see from Earth, remains a mystery to our naked eyes, forever turned away, guarding the deep space beyond. This permanent gaze of the moon creates a feeling of being watched over by a guardian that never turns its back. It is a presence that is always there, reflecting the sun's light to guide us through the darkness, a silver lantern that never wavers in its attention toward our sleeping world. Drifting outward again, beyond the moon, we find ourselves immersed in a faint glowing band that arches across the celestial dome. This is the Milky Way, our home galaxy. To the ancients, it looked like a spilled liquid, a river of milk flowing through the night. If you can, visualize yourself floating on a raft in a calm, dark ocean, looking up to see this dusty, luminous spine of the sky. It appears as a cloud, but it is not a cloud of vapor. It is a cloud of light, composed of the collective glow of distant stars too numerous and too far away to be distinguished individually. This river of light is composed of dust, gas, and stars, all bound together by gravity in a flat, spiraling disk. We live in the suburbs of this great city of stars situated on one of the quiet spiral arms. When we look into that dense band of light, we're looking toward the center of our galactic home, peering through thousands of light years of interstellar dust. It is a view of profound density and richness. The texture of the Milky Way is soft, like brushed cotton or scattered flour, breaking up the stark blackness of the void. It reminds us that we are part of a massive swirling structure, a great cosmic island floating in the dark, slowly rotating with a majesty that takes hundreds of millions of years to complete a single turn. In this swirling river of stars, there is one point of light that has served as a steadfast guide for wanderers, sailors, and dreamers for centuries. We drift now toward Polaris, the North Star. Unlike the other stars that appear to rise in the east and set in the west, continuing their nightly march across the sky, Polaris stands almost perfectly still. It is the anchor, the pivot point around which the entire northern sky seems to revolve. Picture a great wheel spinning slowly, and at the very centre, calm and unmoving, sits this beacon of direction. Visualize the early sailors on dark wooden ships, surrounded by the unpredictable churning ocean. They would look up, find this single steady point of light, and know exactly where they were and where they were going. It is a symbol of stability in a chaotic world. While the universe dances and spins, Polaris holds its ground. It sits directly above the Earth's North Pole, aligned perfectly with our planet's axis. As you lie in your bed, feeling the heaviness of sleep approaching, imagine that you too are aligned with this stillness. You are the center point, calm and unmoving, while the worries of the world spin around you, unable to disturb your rest. You're anchored, safe, and directed toward a deep, peaceful slumber. As your gaze wanders from the steady North Star to the rest of the glittering canopy, you may begin to notice that the stars are not all white. If you look closely, letting your eyes adjust to the subtle nuances of the dark, you will see a jewellery box of colours. Stars are burning embers, and like flames in a fireplace, their colours tell the story of their temperature. It is a beautiful contradiction to our earthly intuition. In the cosmos, red is the colour of the cool, and blue is the colour of the intense heat. Picture a star like Betelgeuse, a giant glowing with a soft, ruddy orange hue, like a dying coal in a hearth. It is cooler, older, bloated, and gentle in its light. Now, contrast that with Rigel, a piercing, diamond blue star that burns with a ferocious, hot intensity. Then there are the yellow stars, like our own sun, sitting comfortably in the middle, radiating a warm, golden stability. Imagine these colours washing over you. The soothing warmth of the red giants, the energising clarity of the blue supergiants, and the golden glow of the yellow dwarves. The night sky is not a monochrome painting. It is a vibrant mosaic of temperatures and energies, all softened by distance into tiny flickering gems that decorate the ceiling of your dreams. Where do these gems come from? We drift now into the deep, mysterious clouds known as nebulae. These are the nurseries of the universe, vast, billowing structures of gas and dust where new stars are being born. Visualize a massive cloud, light years across, shaped like towering pillars or blooming roses, glowing in shades of pink, violet, and green. These clouds are silent, creative wombs floating in the interstellar medium. Within them, gravity is gently pulling dust together, compressing it, warming it, until suddenly, a spark ignites and a new star turns on its light for the first time. The Orion Nebula, visible even to the naked eye as a fuzzy patch on the hunter's sword, is one such place. It is a cavern of creation. Imagine floating through these mists, the vapour swirling around you, not wet or heavy, but ethereal and glowing. It is a process of construction that takes millions of years, a slow-motion blossoming of light. There is something deeply soothing about the knowledge that the universe is constantly renewing itself. Even now, as you sleep, new stars are forming, gathering their strength, preparing to shine for billions of years. It is a cycle of eternal birth, occurring in the quiet dark, far away from any disturbance. Occasionally, the stillness of this celestial portrait is broken by a sudden, fleeting streak of light, a shooting star. Despite their name, these are not stars at all, but tiny pieces of cosmic dust or rock, often no larger than a grain of sand or a pebble, crashing into our atmosphere. Picture this tiny traveller wandering through the cold void for eons, finally meeting the blanket of air that surrounds our Earth. As it enters, the friction creates a brilliant momentary flash of glory, a final signature scrawled across the dark. There is a romance to the shooting star, a fleeting beauty that demands your attention in the moment. It is a reminder of the protective shield our planet wears. The atmosphere is our shell, burning up the debris of the solar system before it can touch the ground. When you see that scratch of light, it is a silent collision, a transformation of energy. Legend tells us to make a wish, to cast a hope onto this dying ember. It connects our internal desires with the external cosmos. Visualize a shower of these meteors, the Perseids or the Geminids, silently raining down streaks of light. A harmless fireworks display provided by nature to lull you into a state of wonder and heavy-lidded relaxation. Long before we understood the physics of meteors or the temperatures of stars, our ancestors looked up at this same chaotic scattering of lights and found order. They played a cosmic game of connect the dots, drawing pictures in the sky, the constellations. These are not scientific groupings, but stories pinned to the heavens. Picture the Great Bear, Ursa Major, lumbering across the northern sky. Visualize the mighty hunter Orion, with his belt of 3 bright stars standing guard against the bull. These shapes are a testament to the human need for storytelling and connection. When you visualize the constellations, you are seeing the same patterns that a shepherd in ancient Greece or a navigator in ancient Polynesia saw. The stars have shifted only slightly in all that time. You are sharing a view with history. Imagine invisible threads of silver connecting star to star, drawing out lions, swans, and heroes. It turns the void into a familiar room, decorated with the myths of the past. It makes the sky feel inhabited, a gallery of art that rotates above you, telling stories of bravery and love that have outlasted the civilizations that created them. Finally, as we drift through these pictures and lights, we become aware of the medium that holds them all, the silence. Space is a vacuum, meaning there is no air to carry sound waves. The massive explosions of stars, the collision of galaxies, the roar of solar winds, all of it happens in absolute profound silence. If you could float in space, you would hear nothing but the rhythm of your own heart and the slow inhale of your own breath. This is the ultimate quiet. It is not the silence of a library or a quiet room, which is simply a lack of noise. This is the silence of existence itself. It is a thick, heavy blanket of peace. Imagine this silence wrapping around you now. It absorbs the noise of your thoughts. It absorbs the worries of the day. It creates a buffer zone where nothing can disturb you. In this silence, you are free to float, weightless and unburdened. The visual beauty of the night sky is matched only by its auditory peace. It is the perfect environment for sleep, a realm where the only sensation is the gentle, rhythmic expansion of the universe and the soft, steady beating of your own resting heart as you drift deeper and deeper into the dream. From that profound, enveloping silence, where the only rhythm is the steady cadence of your own resting existence, we begin to sense a shift in the darkness. We drift from the auditory void to a visual symphony that dances across the polar skies. Imagine yourself standing on a vast frozen plain, wrapped warmly against the chill, looking up as the stillness is broken not by sound, but by the breath of the sun. The aurora borealis, or the northern lights, begins to unfurl above you like a great shimmering curtain of emerald silk. This is not a static painting. It is a living, breathing performance of light. Visualize the colours rippling and swaying, as if a gentle cosmic breeze is blowing through the fabric of the atmosphere. These lights are born from the relationship between our sun and our planet. The sun sends out a constant stream of particles, a solar wind, which travels millions of miles to brush against the Earth's magnetic shield. As these particles cascade down the magnetic lines toward the poles, they collide with the gases in our air, exciting them into a glow. The green you see is the breath of oxygen. The purples and reds are the whispers of nitrogen. It is a reminder that the Earth is protected, that we are encased in a magnetic cocoon that turns potential danger into a display of breathtaking beauty. Watch the lights fold over one another, twisting and turning in a slow-motion ballet, hypnotizing your mind, smoothing out the wrinkles of your thoughts until everything is as calm and fluid as the lights themselves. Leaving the dancing curtains of the poles, our mind floats outward, moving away from the Earth just enough to appreciate its specific location in the darkness. We find ourselves contemplating the Goldilocks zone, the habitable zone of our star system. It is a concept of perfect balance, a cosmic just right. If our planet were just a little closer to the sun, the oceans would boil away into steam, leaving a parched and arid rock. If we were just a little farther away, the water would freeze into solid ice, locking the world in an eternal winter. Instead, we float in this narrow, miraculous band of comfort. Feel the warmth of the sun on your skin in your mind's eye. It is not a burning fire, but a gentle, radiant heat, like a hearth glowing in a dim room. This zone represents a cosmic embrace, a safe harbour where water can flow freely, carving rivers and filling oceans. It is a fragile equilibrium that has held steady for billions of years, allowing life to flourish. As you lie in your bed, feel that sense of perfect temperature and placement. You're not too hot, you're not too cold. You're nestled in the perfect spot, just as the Earth is nestled in the perfect orbit. Let this sense of rightness, of belonging, settle deep into your bones. The universe has arranged itself to keep you warm, to keep you safe, and to sustain you. Drifting further out from this warm hearth, past the rocky red dust of Mars, we approach the grand architect of our solar neighbourhood, the gas giant Jupiter. As you approach this colossal planet, the sheer scale of it washes over you. It is massive enough to hold more than 1,000 Earths inside it. It dominates the darkness, a king among planets. Visualize the texture of its surface. It is not solid ground, but swirling layers of clouds, painted in bands of cream, rust, ochre, and brown. These bands are constantly moving, flowing in opposite directions like rivers of oil paint that never mix. There is a protective nature to this giant. Jupiter acts as a massive gravitational shield for our inner solar system. For eons, its immense gravity has captured or deflected stray comets and asteroids that might have otherwise threatened our small blue world. It is the silent sentinel, the older brother of the planetary family, absorbing the blows, clearing the path. Fix your gaze on the great red spot, a storm larger than our entire planet, swirling endlessly. Though it is a storm from this distance, it appears as a calm, unblinking eye, watching over the void. There is a deep, resonant power here, a heavy gravity that anchors the solar system. Allow yourself to feel that heaviness, a grounding force that pulls you down deeper into your mattress, letting you sink into the support of the bed, just as Jupiter sinks into the fabric of space-time. Moving past the king of planets, we drift toward the jewel of the solar system, Saturn. If you could float near this world, the first thing that would capture your spirit is the ethereal beauty of its rings. They are not a solid disk, but billions of individual particles of ice and rock, ranging from the size of a grain of sugar to the size of a house. Imagine the sunlight glinting off these trillion shards of ice, creating a sparkling, translucent halo that encircles the pale gold planet. There is a lightness to Saturn that defies its size. It is a gas giant composed mostly of hydrogen and helium, so airy and light that if you could find a bathtub large enough to hold it, the entire planet would float like a bobbing apple. Visualize yourself gliding over the plane of the rings. It is a vast, silent skating rink of the gods, stretching out for thousands of miles, yet in some places it is only roughly 30 feet thick. It is a structure of impossible delicacy. The shadows of the rings are cast upon the planet's cloud tops, creating long, cool stripes of darkness. Here, everything is geometry and grace. The chaos of the universe is organized into perfect concentric circles, a mandala of ice spinning in the quiet dark. Let the symmetry of the rings organize your thoughts, aligning them into a peaceful, rotating stillness. Beyond the gas giants, we drift into the cold, quiet frontier of the solar system, a region known as the Kuiper Belt. This is the home of the comets, the icy wanderers. Visualize a vast field of frozen objects drifting slowly in the twilight of the sun's reach. These are the time capsules of creation, untouched remnants from the birth of the planets. They are dirty snowballs, composed of rock, dust, and frozen gases waiting in the deep freeze of space. Occasionally, one of these icy travellers is nudged inward, beginning a long, lonely pilgrimage toward the sun. As it approaches the warmth, a transformation occurs. The ice begins to sublime, turning directly from solid to gas, creating a glowing coma around the nucleus. And then, the tail appears, a magnificent stream of dust and gas pushed away by the solar wind, stretching for millions of miles behind it. Picture this silent streak of white against the black canvas. It is a brushstroke of light, a temporary visitor gracing our skies before returning to the depths. There is a slow, rhythmic patience to the life of a comet. Some take hundreds or even thousands of years to complete a single orbit. They teach us the art of the long journey, the value of patience, and the beauty of returning. Let your mind travel with the comet, soaring through the frictionless void, trailing a veil of stardust, unburdened and free. As we look beyond our own family of planets, peering deep into the stellar nursery, we discover that solitude is not the rule of the cosmos. Many of the points of light you see are not single stars but binary star systems. Two suns bound together by the invisible, unbreakable tether of gravity, locked in an eternal waltz. Visualize these two stars circling a common center of gravity, a pivot point in empty space that they both respect. Often, these pairs are beautiful contrasts in color. Imagine a deep golden star paired with a smaller pale blue companion. As they rotate, they eclipse one another, their combined light dimming and brightening in a rhythmic pulse like a cosmic heartbeat. If you stood on a planet orbiting such a pair, you would see two shadows for every object, and you would watch double sunsets, where one sun dips below the horizon while the other lingers, painting the sky in complex gradients of violet and orange. This celestial partnership speaks to the fundamental connection of things. Nothing in the universe truly stands alone. Everything is influencing and being influenced by something else. Even the stars have companions. Feel the comfort of that connection, the knowledge that you are part of a vast interconnected web of existence, supported and held in orbit by the forces of life. In the center of the most massive galaxies, and hidden in the pockets of the deep dark, lie the most mysterious objects of all, black holes. While the name suggests emptiness, they are actually objects of infinite density, places where matter has been squeezed so tightly that gravity becomes the supreme ruler. But let us not view them with fear. Let us view them with awe as the ultimate resting places of the universe. Picture the event horizon, the boundary around a black hole. It is like the edge of a waterfall. Once the water flows over, it does not return, simply falling into a deep, dark pool below. At this edge, gravity is so strong that it bends light itself. The light from background stars is warped and twisted, creating a halo, a gravitational lens that encircles the darkness. But the most profound aspect of a black hole is what it does to time. As you approach that immense gravity, time begins to slow down. To an outside observer, a clock falling toward the horizon would tick slower and slower until it appeared to stop altogether. It is the ultimate pause button. It is a region of eternal stillness where the frantic ticking of the universe is silenced. Visualize this slowing of time. Let your own internal clock match this deceleration. The seconds stretch out, becoming minutes, becoming hours. There is no rush here. There is only the slow, heavy, infinite stretch of the now. Zooming out from individual stars and anomalies, we begin to see the larger structure, the great cities of the universe, the galaxies. We live in a spiral galaxy, the Milky Way, but it is just one of billions. Visualize these island universes floating in the sea of the void. Some are spirals, like pinwheels of fire spinning in the dark, with long, graceful arms wrapped around a glowing core. Others are elliptical, shaped like giant glowing eggs, vast balls of ancient stars with no clear structure, just a soft, fuzzy luminosity. Drifting nearby in the cosmic ocean is our neighbour, the Andromeda Galaxy. It is a majestic spiral, larger than our own, glowing with the light of 1 trillion stars. Andromeda and the Milky Way are moving toward each other, drawn together across the abyss. But this is not a violent collision. It is a merger, a galactic marriage that will take billions of years to unfold. The stars within them are so far apart that they will likely pass right by one another, dancing a complex choreography of gravity. The two galaxies will eventually blend into one massive elliptical giant. It is a dance on the grandest scale imaginable, a slow-motion blending of light and history. It reminds us that everything is moving toward union, toward a coming together. It is a leisurely, inevitable drift toward a new shared future, occurring so slowly that it looks like perfect stillness. underneath the light of the galaxies, permeating every centimetre of the universe, is a faint ancient glow known as the cosmic microwave background. This is the oldest light in existence, the afterglow of the Big Bang itself. It is not visible to your naked eye, but if you could see in microwave frequencies, the entire night sky would not be black. It would be glowing with a uniform brightness. Think of it as the cooling embers of the fire that started it all. When the universe began, it was incredibly hot and dense. As it expanded, it cooled, and that initial heat has stretched out into these faint, long waves of energy. It is a static, a hum that exists everywhere, in every direction. When you tuned an old television set between channels and saw the snowy static, a small percentage of that static was this ancient light, touching your antenna after travelling for 13.8 billion years. It is the background music of the cosmos, a blanket of fossilised heat that wraps around everything. It is a reminder that the universe has a memory. The beginning is still here with us, echoing softly in the silence. Let this ancient warmth surround you, a pervasive, gentle buzz that fills the empty spaces and connects you to the very origin of time. Finally, we come to the great invisible scaffolding that holds this entire majestic structure together: dark matter. When astronomers look at the spinning galaxies, they realise there isn't enough visible matter, stars, gas, dust, to create the gravity needed to hold them together. By all accounts, the galaxies should fly apart, flinging their stars into the void like water spinning off a bicycle wheel. But they don't. They hold their shape. There is something else there, something invisible, something heavy. Dark matter is the ghost in the machine, the unseen web. It does not reflect light, it does not emit light, and it does not block light. It simply is. It interacts only through gravity. Picture a vast, three-dimensional spiderweb stretching across the universe. The galaxies are like dewdrops caught on the silk strands of this web. This invisible substance makes up the majority of the matter in the universe. It is the silent, humble worker, the glue that binds the cosmos. It suggests that what we can see is only a fraction of reality. There is a hidden support system, a mysterious presence that ensures stability. As you rest, imagine that you too are supported by invisible forces. You do not need to hold yourself together. You do not need to worry about flying apart. The universe has a hidden strength, a gravity of its own that holds you, supports you, and keeps you safe within the great, turning wheel of the night. And just as there is a hidden web binding the bright lights together, there are also vast cavernous spaces between the strands where nothing seems to exist at all. We drift now from the dense, invisible scaffolding of dark matter into the profound tranquility of the cosmic voids. Imagine a bubble of pure emptiness, a spherical chamber in the universe so colossal that it spans hundreds of millions of light years. This is the Bhuta's void, often called the Great Nothing. If you were floating in the precise centre of this void, the darkness would be absolute. The galaxies that form the walls of this bubble would be so distant that your naked eye would see only an inky, unbroken black canvas. It is a place of ultimate sensory deprivation, a sanctuary where the clutter of the cosmos has been swept away. Think of it as a deep, quiet exhale held for an eternity. If our own Milky Way had been inside this void, we would have thought we were the only galaxy in existence until the invention of telescopes in the 1960s. That is how isolating, how quiet, and how spacious this region is. Let your mind expand into this emptiness. There are no neighbours here, no collisions, no noise. It is a clean slate, a vast, dark room where you can stretch out your consciousness without touching a single wall. The Bhuta's void reminds us that space is mostly space, a luxurious open field of nothingness that invites a deep, uncluttered peace. Floating through these lonely expanses, we occasionally encounter a traveller that belongs to no sun and knows no dawn. These are the rogue planets, the nomads of the galaxy. Visualize a massive world, perhaps the size of Jupiter, moving silently through the eternal night. It has no star to orbit, no calendar to keep, no seasons to endure. It was likely cast out from its home system billions of years ago during a chaotic game of gravitational billiards sent drifting into the interstellar deep. You might imagine these worlds to be frozen and dead, but picture them instead as insulated, cozy secrets. Beneath their thick, crushing atmospheres, many rogue planets retain the heat of their formation, radiating a warmth from within that never escapes. They are like wandering embers wrapped in heavy blankets of gas. Imagine standing on the surface of a moon orbiting such a planet. The sky would be a sphere of perfect, unpolluted stars, clearer than any view from Earth. There is no sun to wash out the faint glimmer of distant galaxies. It is a place of eternal twilight, a permanent state of midnight meditation. This rogue world answers to no one. It follows a path entirely its own, unbound by the gravity of a master. Feel that sense of total independence, of drifting freely through the dark, warm and self-sufficient, carrying your own internal light wherever you go. As we drift back from the silent nomads toward the warmth of the stars, we begin to perceive that the stars themselves are not silent. Though space is a vacuum, the interior of a star is a chaotic, roaring ocean of plasma. We turn our attention to the helioseismic hum of the sun. Deep within the core of our star, sound waves are constantly bouncing back and forth, reflecting off the surface and plunging back into the depths. These are not sounds you can hear with your ears, but vibrations you can feel in your marrow. The sun rings like a giant bell struck by the convection of its own burning gases. The frequency is too low for human hearing, millions of times deeper than the deepest bass note a whale could sing, but the rhythm is there. Visualize the surface of the sun not just as fire, but as a speaker cone, vibrating with a slow, rhythmic pulsing. This is the heartbeat of the solar system. Every few minutes the sun expands and contracts slightly, breathing in a cycle of acoustic energy. Imagine this deep, resonant Om vibrating through the vacuum, a foundational bass note that underpins the existence of the planets. Let this low-frequency hum resonate in your chest, a heavy, soothing vibration that loosens the tight muscles of your back and shoulders, shaking free the tension until you are humming in sympathetic resonance with the star that gives us life. From the fire of the sun, we travel outward again to the cold, majestic giants of the outer solar system, specifically Neptune and Uranus, to witness a phenomenon of unimaginable opulence. Here, deep beneath the thick blue-green clouds of methane and ammonia, the pressure becomes so intense that it defies earthly comprehension. In these crushing depths, the carbon atoms are squeezed together until they crystallize. Picture this. It is raining diamonds. Not tiny chips, but massive glittering gems, forming in the upper atmosphere and falling like heavy hail toward the planet's liquid core. Visualize standing on a protected platform deep within this alien atmosphere watching the shower. The darkness is illuminated by the sparkle of millions of diamonds catching the faint scattered light. They fall into a deep slushy ocean of liquid diamond and ice, splashing down with a heavy melodic rhythm. It is a scene of supreme richness and excess, hidden away where no human eye will ever see it. The universe creates beauty not for an audience, but simply because the laws of physics demand it. Let the image of this falling treasure weigh down your eyelids. The heaviness of the diamonds, the density of the atmosphere, the slow, sinking feeling of the gems settling into the depths, all of it pulls you downward into a deeper, heavier state of rest. Leaving the pressure of the ice giants, we soar thousands of light years away into the Eagle Nebula to hover before one of the most iconic structures in the night sky, the Pillars of Creation. Visualize 3 towering columns of cold gas and dust standing like stalagmites in a cosmic cave. They are gargantuan, stretching light years in height, dwarfing our entire solar system. These pillars are not static stone. They are made of smoke and shadow, sculpted by the intense winds of newborn stars nearby. The ultraviolet light from these young hot stars is slowly eroding the pillars, stripping away the gas to reveal the denser pockets within. These pockets are eggs, the incubators of future solar systems. At the very tips of these dark towers, tiny fingers of gas protrude, each one wider than our solar system, glowing with a halo of light. Imagine floating near the base of these pillars, looking up at the majestic architecture of the nebula. It looks like an underwater coral reef, or a cathedral built by giants, bathed in a soft ethereal glow of blue and sulfur yellow. There is a sense of ancient endurance here. The pillars are vanishing, yes, but on a timescale so slow that to us they appear eternal. They stand as guardians of the new stars, majestic and silent, holding up the roof of the sky while you sleep. In the midst of these quiet clouds, there are objects that behave with the precision of a Swiss watch. We turn our gaze to the pulsars. These are the crushed cores of massive stars that have exploded and collapsed. Compressed into a ball only about 12 miles wide, they spin at mind-bending speeds, some rotating hundreds of times every single second. But from a distance, we do not see the frantic spinning. We see a lighthouse. The pulsar emits two powerful beams of radio waves from its magnetic poles. As it spins, these beams sweep across the cosmos. If one sweeps past Earth, we see a rhythmic pulse. Flash, flash, flash. Some pulse slowly, once every few seconds. Others hum with a rapid, steady beat. Visualize a dark ocean at night, and on the horizon, a lighthouse beam cutting through the fog with perfect regularity. It is the metronome of the galaxy. This rhythm is so precise that astronomers use pulsars to map the universe and keep cosmic time. There is something deeply hypnotic about a repeating signal in the dark. Focus on that steady imaginary pulse. It is a rhythm to synchronize your breath to, steady, unchangeable, reliable. Let the cosmic lighthouse guide you safely through the waves of sleep, its steady blinking a promise that the universe is orderly and consistent. We drift now to the very edge of what we can call home. Far beyond Pluto, far beyond the Kuiper Belt, lies a theoretical sphere of icy objects that encapsulates our entire solar system like a massive shell. This is the Oort cloud. It is the true boundary, the frontier where the sun's gravity finally gives way to the vastness of interstellar space. Imagine this cloud not as a dense barrier, but as a ghostly dispersed mist of frozen debris. There are trillions of icy objects here, ranging from city-sized mountains of ice to small frozen pebbles. They drift in the absolute twilight, so far from the sun that our star appears as just another bright dot in the sky. This is the womb of the comets, a vast reservoir of potential energy held in deep freeze. The Oort cloud is a bubble of protection, a final layer of insulation separating our warm planetary family from the rest of the galaxy. Visualize yourself floating in this silent frozen shell. You're on the rim of the world, looking inward at the distant warmth of home and outward at the beckoning stars. It is a place of duality, the end and the beginning. This silence here is thick with the dust of eons. It is a place where nothing happens for millions of years, a place of perfect frozen preservation waiting in the dark. From the stillness of the ice, we shift our perception to the fabric of space itself and the ripples that move through it. Gravitational waves. For centuries, we thought space was a static stage where events happened. But we now know that space is more like a fabric or a surface of water. When massive objects, like two black holes or neutron stars, spiral into one another and collide, they do not just create an explosion, they shake the very foundation of reality. Visualize a stone thrown into a dark, still pond. Watch the ripples spread outward in perfect circles, moving across the water. Now, imagine that the universe is the pond. These waves travel at the speed of light, stretching and squeezing space as they pass. As a gravitational wave passes through you, and they are passing through you right now, it stretches you infinitesimally in one direction and squeezes you in the other. You cannot feel it, but it connects you to the most violent events in the universe in the gentlest possible way. It turns the cosmos into a liquid medium. We are bobbing on the surface of a deep, dark ocean, rocked gently by the echoes of distant giants merging. This concept removes the rigidity of the world. Nothing is hard or fixed. Everything is fluid, waving and responding. Let yourself float on these invisible tides, carried by the subtle, rhythmic breathing of space-time. As we float on these ripples, we realize we are not just drifting aimlessly. We are flowing. Our Milky Way, along with thousands of other galaxies, is being pulled like a raft on a river toward a mysterious, massive anomaly known as the Great Attractor. This is a gravitational anomaly in intergalactic space, a concentration of mass equivalent to tens of thousands of galaxies hidden behind the dust of our own Milky Way. We cannot see it clearly, but we can feel its pull. It is the focal point of our cosmic watershed. Picture the universe as a series of flowing streams and rivers. The galaxy supercluster we live in, Laniakea, which means immeasurable heaven, is like a great basin, and all the galaxies within it are sliding slowly, inevitably, toward this great attractor. There is no resistance to this flow, it is a surrender to gravity. We are moving at over 1 million miles per hour toward this point, but the ride is so smooth we feel nothing. It is a collective journey. We are travelling with our neighbours, Andromeda, the Triangulum Galaxy, and all the dwarf galaxies moving as a fleet. There is comfort in this shared destiny. You're not stagnant. You're part of a grand celestial migration, flowing downstream in the river of the night, headed toward a mysterious magnetic centre of gravity that calls us home. Finally, let us rest our gaze on the humblest, yet most enduring lights in the sky, the red dwarfs. While the massive blue stars burn bright and die young, exploding in glorious supernovas, the red dwarfs are the tortoises of the universe. These small, cool stars, often only a fraction of the size of the sun, burn their fuel with incredible efficiency and patience. Visualize a small campfire burning low and steady in the dark woods. It doesn't roar, it glows. A red dwarf star can live for trillions of years. They will keep shining long after the sun has died, long after the blue giants have faded to black. They are the last lights that will go out in the universe. In the far, far distant future, when the cosmos is old and dark, these little red embers will still be there, keeping watch. Because they are dimmer, we cannot see them with the naked eye from Earth. Even our nearest neighbour, Proxima Centauri, is a red dwarf invisible without a telescope. But they are the most common stars in the sky. They are everywhere, surrounding us like a swarm of fireflies. Think of them as the nightlights of the galaxy. They are not here to dazzle you. They are here to provide a long, steady, enduring warmth. They represent the promise that the light will not go out. It will last. It will wait for you. Let the longevity of the red dwarf soothe your anxiety about time. There is plenty of time, trillions of years of it. Enough time to rest, to sleep, and to dream under the steady ruby glow of the eternal watchman. From the dim, enduring glow of the red dwarfs, our vision adjusts even further, peering into the shadows to find objects that hover on the very threshold of starlight. We drift toward the brown dwarfs. These are the failed stars of the cosmos, objects that formed with grand ambition, gathering gas and dust, but never quite achieved the massive weight needed to ignite the full nuclear fires of a true sun. They exist in a permanent state of limbo, bridging the gap between the largest gas giant planets and the smallest stars. Visualize a world that glows not with a blinding white or yellow light, but with a deep, surreal magenta or a bruised violet hue. Because they are so cool, some no hotter than a fresh cup of tea or a household oven, their light is almost entirely in the infrared, invisible to the human eye. If you could float near one, you would not feel the searing heat of a sun, but a gentle, radiating warmth, like the embers of a fire that has long since died down. Their atmospheres are filled with swirling clouds, not of water, but of molten iron and hot sand, raining down in heavy metallic storms. There is a melancholy beauty to the brown dwarf. It is a celestial body that rests in the twilight, neither burning bright nor freezing cold, existing in a comfortable, quiet middle ground. Let this image of the dark violet sun soothe you. It demands nothing. It simply floats in the dark, a warm presence in the cold, wrapping you in its dim, heavy colours. As we contemplate these worlds that blur the line between star and planet, our imagination expands to the realization that the universe is teeming with worlds of every conceivable variety. We turn our mind's eye to the exoplanets. For most of human history, the planets in our own solar system were the only ones we knew. Now we know that almost every star you see in the night sky is likely a host to its own family of worlds. Picture yourself standing on the surface of a super-Earth, a rocky world twice the size of our own, where the gravity is strong and grounding, pulling you firmly into the soil. Or imagine a hot Jupiter, a gas giant orbiting so close to its star that its clouds are stripped away into a glowing comet tail. There are ocean worlds, covered entirely in deep, endless water without a single island to break the waves. There are worlds with two suns, casting double shadows that dance across the landscape. The variety is infinite. This knowledge opens up the night sky. It is no longer a canopy of lonely lights, but a map of destinations, a gallery of potential homes. Every twinkle is a sun warming a landscape we can only dream of. Let your mind wander across these invisible terrains, hiking over alien mountains and swimming in alien seas, free from the limitations of geography, exploring the infinite real estate of the galaxy. But what are these worlds made of? What are you made of? We drift now to the concept of stardust, or cosmic nucleosynthesis. It is a profound truth that connects your physical body directly to the history of the night sky. In the beginning, after the Big Bang, the universe contained only the simplest elements, hydrogen and helium. There was no carbon for your cells, no calcium for your bones, no iron for your blood, no oxygen for your breath. These precious materials were forged inside the crushing, fiery hearts of ancient stars. For billions of years, stars acted as alchemists, fusing simple atoms into heavier, more complex ones. When these stars reached the end of their lives and exploded, they scattered these new elements across the cosmos like seeds in the wind. The gold in the ring on your finger was created in the collision of neutron stars. The iron that tints your blood red was forged in the core of a dying giant. You are not merely an observer of the universe. You are the universe itself, rearranged into a form that can feel and think. You are made of recycled stars. Feel the weight of this history in your limbs. Your body is ancient stardust, temporarily assembled into you. You belong to the stars, and they belong to you. Let this connection ground you, dissolving the separation between the dreamer and the dream. How does this stardust travel from the core of a star to the tips of your fingers? We drift to the gentle artistic death of sun-like stars, creating the phenomenon known as planetary nebulae. Despite the name, these have nothing to do with planets. They are the final, exhaled breath of a star that has run out of fuel. Instead of exploding violently, these stars gently puff their outer layers into space, creating glowing shells of gas that expand slowly outward. Visualize the Ring Nebula, a perfect loop of blue and orange glowing against the black backdrop, or the Cat's Eye Nebula, a complex structure of overlapping shells and knots of gas. These are the butterflies of the cosmos. The star, once a ball of fire, sheds its skin, creating a colourful sarcophagus of ionized gas. The colours are vibrant, deep reds from hydrogen, rich teals from oxygen. This process is slow and graceful, a blooming flower that takes tens of thousands of years to unfold. It is a reminder that endings can be beautiful. The star is not destroyed, it is transformed, spreading its substance out to become part of the next generation of stars and worlds. Watch the slow expansion of these colourful clouds in your mind, drifting apart like smoke rings in a still room, carrying the seeds of life into the void. and what remains at the centre of this blooming flower. When the layers have drifted away, what is left is the exposed core of the star, a white dwarf. This is the ultimate retirement of a sun. It is a sphere roughly the size of Earth, but containing the mass of a sun. It is incredibly dense, a diamond in the rough. Gravity has squeezed the carbon and oxygen so tightly that the star becomes a crystal lattice. It no longer produces energy. It simply shines with the residual heat of its past glory. It is slowly, over billions of years, cooling down. Visualize this glowing crystal ember, white hot but fading, sitting alone in the centre of its colourful nebula. It is a monument to stability. Because it is so dense, it is incredibly stable. It will sit there, unchanged, for longer than the current age of the universe. Eventually, eons from now, it will cool completely to become a black dwarf, a dark, cold crystal floating in space. But for now, it shines with a pure white light. Focus on this small, intense point of light. It represents the enduring core, the part of you that remains when all the external layers are stripped away, bright, solid, and unbreakable. As we consider the lifespans of these stars, our sense of time begins to stretch even further, shifting from the life of a single sun to the movement of the entire galaxy. We contemplate the cosmic year. Just as the Earth orbits the sun once every year, our entire solar system orbits the centre of the Milky Way galaxy. But the galaxy is so vast that this journey takes an incomprehensible amount of time, roughly 230 million terrestrial years. This period is known as a galactic year. The last time our solar system was in this current position in its orbit, dinosaurs were just beginning to appear on Earth. The continents were fused together in the supercontinent Pangaea. Flowers had not yet evolved. We are travellers on a great carousel that spins with majestic slowness. We are not sitting still in space. We are arcing through the void at 500,000 miles per hour, returning to a place we haven't seen since the Triassic period. This scale of time erases the urgency of the moment. The worries of today are less than a blink in the eye of the cosmic year. Allow yourself to feel the slow, sweeping motion of this galactic orbit. You are on a long, long journey. There is no need to rush. The wheel turns slowly, and you are safely carried along by the momentum of the stars. Within this grand motion, where gravity pulls and pushes everything in complex dances, there are magical pockets of absolute stillness. These are the Lagrange points. In any system of two large bodies, like the Earth and the Sun, there are 5 specific points in space where the gravitational forces balance each other out perfectly. Imagine a hammock strung between 2 trees. There is a dip in the middle where you can rest without rolling to the left or the right. That is a Lagrange point. It is a cosmic parking spot. If you place a satellite or a spaceship or a dreamer at one of these points, it will stay there with minimal effort, locked in a perfect equilibrium between the competing pulls of gravity. The James Webb Space Telescope sits at one of these points, 1 million miles from Earth, floating in the quiet dark, observing the universe with a steady gaze. Visualize yourself floating in such a point. To your left, the gravity of the Sun. To your right, the gravity of the Earth. But where you are, the forces cancel out. You are weightless, motionless, held in the gentle embrace of balance. It is a place of neutrality and peace, where the tug-of-war of the universe ceases and you are free to simply be. From this distant vantage point, we look back toward our home and notice a ghostly glow on the dark portion of the crescent moon. This is Earthshine. When the moon is a thin crescent, you can often see the rest of the lunar disk faintly illuminated, glowing with a soft ashen grey light. This is not sunlight hitting the moon directly. It is sunlight reflecting off the Earth, travelling to the moon, and then reflecting back to your eyes. Leonardo da Vinci was one of the first to solve this mystery, calling it the old moon in the new moon's arms. Think of it as Earth's nightlight for the moon. When we look up and see the dark side of the moon glowing, we are actually seeing the reflection of our own planet's clouds and oceans. It is a mirror in the sky. If the Earth is cloudy and bright, the Earthshine is stronger. It is a beautiful cyclic exchange of light, sun to earth, earth to moon, moon to eye. It connects the three bodies in a triangle of luminescence. Visualize that soft, dusty grey light. It is gentler than moonlight, a whisper of illumination that reveals the features of the lunar seas just enough to be seen. It is a reminder that even in our darkest phases, we are still reflecting light, still connected to the source. Sometimes the atmosphere of our own planet adds a jewel to the night sky, crowning the moon with a ring of light. We observe the lunar halo on cold, crisp nights. When high-altitude cirrus clouds drift overhead, they bring with them millions of tiny hexagonal ice crystals. As the moonlight passes through these microscopic prisms, it is bent and refracted, creating a perfect circle of light around the moon. This ring is almost always exactly 22 degrees in radius, a constant of physics written in the sky. Often, the inner edge of the halo is tinged with red, while the outer edge fades into blue. Folklore tells us that a ring around the moon foretells rain or snow, a sign that the atmosphere is thickening, preparing to blanket the world in moisture. Visually, it turns the moon into a sacred eye, watching over the sleeping world. Imagine lying in a field of snow, looking up at this geometric wonder. The air is cold, but you are warm. The halo stands static and majestic, a celestial wedding band marrying the light of the moon to the ice of the earth. It creates a sense of enclosure, of being in a protected sphere where the light is contained and celebrated. As the night deepens, or perhaps as it begins to yield to the morning, we may spot a faint triangular glow extending up from the horizon, shaping a pyramid of pearly light against the stars. This is the zodiacal light, sometimes called the false dawn. It is soft, diffuse, and incredibly delicate, visible only in the darkest of skies. This light is not atmospheric, it is interplanetary. It is sunlight reflecting off billions of microscopic dust particles that float in the plane of our solar system. This dust is the debris left over from comets and colliding asteroids, a disk of cosmic powder that stretches out among the planets. When you see this pillar of light, you're seeing the physical fabric of our solar system, illuminated by the sun. It traces the path that the sun and planets follow across the sky. It is ethereal and ghostly, appearing like a fog made of light. It reminds us that space is not empty. It is dusty, textured, and filled with matter. Visualize this soft pyramid glowing gently in the west after sunset, or in the east before dawn. It is the bridge between day and night, a soft transition that eases the harshness of the dark, guiding the sun to its bed or waking it from its slumber. It is a silent, dusty road of light, leading you further into the gentle territory of sleep. And closely related to that pyramid of pearly dawn light, yet even more elusive and shy, is a phenomenon known as the Gegenschein, or counterglow. While the zodiacal light appears near the sun, the Gegenschein appears at the exact opposite point in the sky, a ghostly reflection of the solar star. Imagine you're standing in the deepest darkness of the desert, turning your back completely to where the sun is hidden beneath the earth. There, at the anti-solar point, directly overhead at midnight, lies a faint oval patch of light. It is incredibly subtle, visible only to those who have truly welcomed the darkness. This soft luminosity is created by sunlight reflecting directly off the millions of dust particles in the outer solar system. It is the same optical effect that makes a full moon so bright. The shadows of the dust particles are hidden behind the particles themselves, creating a surge of backscattered brightness. Picture it as a phantom sun, a pale, dusty echo lingering in the midnight sky. It is a reminder that the sun's influence reaches everywhere, even into the deepest shadows. The light is always there, bouncing, reflecting, and finding its way back to you. Visualize this oval of soft light hovering over you like a protective spirit, a faint nightlight ensuring that you're never truly left in total darkness, even when the sun is on the other side of the world. as your eyes trace the path of this interplanetary dust back toward the dense band of the Milky Way, you may notice that the river of stars is not a solid, unbroken stream. It is split. There are deep, irregular patches of blackness that silhouette the glow, looking like rips in the fabric of the sky. These are not empty voids, but dark nebulae. This is the Great Rift, a colossal collection of cold, dense interstellar clouds that sits between us and the starry arm of the Sagittarius region. Think of them as cosmic shadow puppets. These clouds are so thick with dust and gas that they block the visible light of the billions of stars behind them. Instead of shining, they obscure. To the indigenous astronomers of the southern hemisphere, these dark patches were as important as the bright stars. They saw the emu in the sky, a giant bird outlined not by light, but by the absence of it. There is a profound comfort in these dark clouds. They are the blankets of the galaxy, thick and heavy, creating pockets of privacy and shade in a universe of blinding light. Visualize yourself resting in the velvet cover of the Great Rift. It is a place of shade and cool relief, a visual silence where the eyes can rest from the brilliance of the stars, protected by the heavy curtains of the galactic night. If we zoom into one of these dark patches, specifically in the constellation of Crux, we find the Coalsack Nebula. It is the most prominent dark nebula in the heavens, a silhouette so stark against the bright southern Milky Way that it looks like a drop of black ink spilled onto a glowing page. For centuries, sailors used it as a guide, a patch of nothingness that marked the way south. But this darkness is deceptive. It is not a hole, it is a womb. Inside this cold, dark cloud, the temperature is only a few degrees above absolute zero. In this deep freeze, molecules are coming together, shielded from the harsh radiation of the outside galaxy. The dust grains are coated in ice, sticking together, growing heavy, beginning the slow gravitational collapse that will eventually, millions of years from now, ignite into new clusters of stars. The Coalsack is a pregnant pause in the music of the cosmos. It is the silence before the crescendo. Rest your mind in this potential. It is a reminder that in the dark, quiet times of life, when nothing seems to be happening, the most important work is often being done unseen. You are like the Coalsack, resting in the dark, gathering your energy, preparing for a new dawn that will come in its own perfect time. In contrast to the dark, absorbing clouds, we drift now to clouds that have found a partner to illuminate them, the reflection nebulae. The most famous of these embraces the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades star cluster. Visualize this group of bright, hot blue stars, glowing with the intensity of youth. They are passing through a dusty region of space, and their light is scattering off the surrounding grains of carbon and silicate. Unlike the pink and red glow of emission nebulae, which create their own light, reflection nebulae act like a dense fog illuminated by a street lamp. The light is cool, spectral, and overwhelmingly blue. It is the same physics that makes our sky blue during the day, rarely scattering, but here it is happening on a canvas light years wide. Imagine driving on a lonely road at night, where the mist hangs heavy in the air, glowing with a soft sapphire luminescence around the beams of your headlights. That is the texture of the Pleiades. It is a soft gossamer veil wrapped around the stars, blurring their sharp edges into a dreamy, hazy halo. Let this cool blue light wash over your mind. It is a colour of calm, of ice, of clear water, soothing the heat of the day and cooling your thoughts into a tranquil, mist-filled stillness. The Pleiades are a prime example of our next destination, the open star clusters. These are the nurseries of the galaxy, groups of a few hundred to a few thousand stars that were born from the same giant molecular cloud. They are cosmic siblings, travelling together through the dark. Because they are young, they're often bright and energetic, but they are also loosely bound to one another. Over hundreds of millions of years, the gravitational pull of the galaxy will gently tug them apart, and they will drift away to live their own separate lives, mixing into the general population of the Milky Way. Our own sun was likely born in such a cluster, surrounded by thousands of brothers and sisters that have long since drifted away. There is a sweetness to the open cluster. It represents a time of togetherness before the journey of independence. Visualize the beehive cluster, or the Hyades, as a swarm of fireflies released from a jar, still flying close together, sharing their light. They are a temporary family, a gathering of light that will eventually spread out to illuminate the furthest corners of the galaxy. It reminds us that we are all travelers, sometimes moving in groups, sometimes alone, but always originating from the same source, the same great cloud of creation. Drifting from the loose young families of the galactic disk, we soar upward, out of the flat plane of the Milky Way, to the halo that surrounds it. Here we find the ancient metropolises of the stars, the globular clusters. If an open cluster is a village, a globular cluster is a dense spherical city. Visualize a ball of light containing not hundreds, but hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of stars, all packed into a tight sphere. The Great Hercules cluster is a shining example. These stars are old, some of the oldest objects in the universe, dating back almost to the Big Bang itself. They have orbited each other for billions of years, settling into a perfectly organized, gravitationally bound ball. The density here is unimaginable. If you lived on a planet in the center of a globular cluster, you would know no night. The sky would be blazing with thousands of stars brighter than the full moon, a ceiling of perpetual diamonds. It is a place of intense community and gravity. These stars hold on to each other tightly, refusing to let go, surviving the eons by sticking together. Imagine the stability of such a place. While the rest of the galaxy spins and changes, the globular cluster remains, a steadfast monument to endurance and unity. Let the weight of this cluster anchor you. You are held by gravity, by the bed, by the earth, just as these ancient stars are held by one another in the velvet dark. Within these crowds of stars, and indeed across the entire sky, there are individual lights that seem to breathe. These are the variable stars. While we think of the sun as constant, many stars in the universe grow brighter and dimmer in a rhythmic cycle. We drift toward the Cepheid variables, the heartbeat of the cosmos. These are massive stars that physically expand and contract, pulsating like a living chest. As the star swells outward, it cools and dims. As it shrinks back inward, it heats up and brightens. This cycle can take days, weeks, or months. Imagine looking up and seeing a star that slowly winks at you, a slow-motion lighthouse beam fading in and out. This rhythm is so precise that astronomers use it to measure the size of the universe itself. It is the ticking clock of the galaxy. Visualize this expansion and contraction. Match your breath to it. Inhale as the star brightens, filling with light and energy. Exhale as the star dims, releasing the light into the void, softening into the dark, in and out, bright and dim. The universe is not a static picture. It is a living, breathing organism, and you are breathing with it, synchronized with the pulse of the stars. Among these winking lights, there is one that has captured the imagination of storytellers for millennia, Algol, known as the demon star in the constellation Perseus. But there is nothing demonic about it. It is a beautiful cosmic dance. Algol is an eclipsing binary system. It is composed of two stars, one bright and hot, the other cool and dim, orbiting each other so closely that, from our perspective on Earth, they pass directly in front of one another. Every 2 days, 20 hours and 49 minutes, the dimmer star passes in front of the brighter one, blocking its light. To the naked eye, Algol suddenly fades, losing much of its brilliance for about 10 hours before slowly returning to full strength. It is a celestial game of peekaboo. Ancient cultures watch this star with awe, seeing it as a winking eye in the head of Medusa. Today, we see it as a clockwork mechanism of shadow and light. Visualize this regular dimming, a slow, gentle eclipse that happens like clockwork. It creates a rhythm in the sky, a pattern of rest and activity. Just as Algol dims to rest every few days, you too are allowed to dim, to retreat, to let your light soften and rest before you shine brightly again. It is a natural part of the cycle of existence. As we watch these stars dim and brighten, we might assume they are fixed in their positions, pinned to the black canvas. But if we could speed up time, pressing fast forward on the universe, we would see that the stars are flying. This is the concept of proper motion. Every star is moving, drifting through the galaxy like a ship on the ocean. The constellations we know today are temporary arrangements, fleeting snapshots of a dynamic system. Consider Barnard's star, a red dwarf that moves faster across our sky than any other star. It is a sprinter. Over the course of a human lifetime, it moves a distance equivalent to half the width of the moon. Over thousands of years, the Big Dipper will bend and break. Orion's belt will unravel. The sky is fluid. It is a slow, majestic river. Nothing is stagnant. This realization liberates us from the idea of stuckness. Even the things that look the most permanent, mountains, stars, problems, are actually in motion, shifting and changing, flowing towards something new. Visualize the stars streaming across the sky like fireflies in a meadow, a slow, chaotic, beautiful migration. You are part of this flow, drifting along with the current of time, unhurried and unstoppable. Finally, we turn our attention from the natural wonders of the deep past to a tiny silent traveller from our own time that is currently drifting in the space between the stars. We cast our minds to the Voyager spacecraft. Launched in 1977, these twin ships have completed their grand tour of the planets and have now crossed the heliopause, the boundary where the sun's wind stops and the interstellar medium begins. Voyager 1 is the furthest human-made object from Earth, floating in the absolute silence of interstellar space, billions of miles away. It carries with it a golden record, a phonograph disc plated in gold, containing the sounds and images of Earth. It holds the sound of wind, of thunder, of birds, of whales, and of a mother kissing a child. It carries greetings in 55 languages and the music of Bach, Beethoven, and Chuck Berry. Visualize this tiny, shiny object tumbling slowly through the endless dark. It is a bottle thrown into the cosmic ocean, preserving the memory of who we are. It is drifting towards stars that will not be reached for 40,000 years. There is a profound loneliness to Voyager, but also a profound peace. It has left the turbulence of the solar system behind. It floats in the calmest waters imaginable, carrying the dreams of humanity on a silent, eternal journey. Imagine that you are drifting with it, weightless and detached from all the noise of the world. You're simply a traveller, carrying your own golden record of memories, floating safely through the beautiful, quiet void, drifting on and on into the comforting embrace of the forever night. And as Voyager drifts through that seemingly empty expanse, we begin to understand that the space between the stars is not truly empty at all. We are now sailing through the interstellar medium. While our earthly intuition tells us that space is a vacuum, a void of nothingness, the truth is far more textured. Imagine a mist so thin, so ethereal, that it is almost spiritual in its subtlety. This is the breath of the galaxy. It is composed of stray atoms of hydrogen, solitary helium nuclei, and microscopic grains of silicate dust that have wandered away from their parent stars. Picture yourself running your hand through this medium. It is not like air, and certainly not like water. It is a soup so diluted that in a cubic centimetre, the size of a sugar cube, you might find only a single atom. Yet, across the incomprehensible vastness of light years, these single atoms add up to a tremendous ocean of matter. This is the material from which future stars will be sculpted. It is a reservoir of potential, a silent, waiting expanse of gas and dust that fills the gaps between the solar systems. As Voyager moves through it, it is not moving through nothing. It is moving through the quiet, dispersed body of the Milky Way itself. Visualize this medium as a dark, calm sea, barely there, yet present enough to carry the shock waves of distant explosions, a delicate fabric that connects the lonely islands of the stars. Moving through this thin cosmic mist, invisible travellers are constantly zipping past us at speeds that defy comprehension. These are the cosmic rays. Despite their name, they are not rays of light, but high-energy atomic nuclei, protons and electrons, that have been stripped from their atoms and hurled across the universe by violent events. Visualize them as subatomic rain, a relentless invisible downpour that permeates the entire galaxy. Some of these particles were launched by the explosion of a supernova millions of years ago. Others were accelerated by the shock waves of black holes. They travel at nearly the speed of light, weaving through the magnetic fields of the galaxy like cars on a winding highway. When they strike the hull of a spacecraft or the upper atmosphere of a planet, they shatter, creating a cascade of secondary particles. There is a frenetic energy to them, a wildness, yet they travel in silence. Imagine this energetic drizzle passing through the interstellar medium, passing through the walls of the Voyager, and even passing through you. It is a reminder that the universe is alive with energy, that even in the deepest quiet there is a constant invisible motion, a web of trajectories connecting the death of giant stars to the quiet corners of the void. Drifting onward, guided by these invisible lines of energy, our attention shifts from the space between to the destination ahead. The nearest neighbour to our own sun, waiting in the southern sky, is Proxima Centauri. It is a star that demands humility. Despite being the closest star to Earth, a mere 4.2 light-years away, it is invisible to the naked eye. It is a small red dwarf, glowing with only a fraction of our sun's luminosity. Picture a small, ruddy ember glowing in the dark, much cooler and dimmer than the blazing yellow suns we're used to. It sits alone, slightly separated from its larger siblings, guarding the doorstep of the solar neighbourhood. There is a coziness to Proxima. It is a long-lived star, a survivor that will continue to glow for trillions of years, long after our own sun has expanded and faded. Orbiting this dim red bulb is a rocky world, Proxima b, sitting in the habitable zone. Imagine standing on that world. The sun in the sky would appear large and salmon pink, casting long soft shadows across a twilight landscape. It is a world of perpetual sunset, a place where the day never fully breaks into a harsh noon, but lingers in a gentle, ruddy gloaming. Let this eternal evening settle over you, a heavy, warm light that signals the end of effort and the beginning of rest. But Proxima is not truly alone. If we pull back our view, we see that it is the gravitational outlier of a magnificent trio. Its larger companions, Alpha Centauri A and B, form the brilliant point of light that we see as the third brightest star in the night sky. To the naked eye, they appear as one singular dazzling diamond, but they are in fact two sun-like stars locked in a close elliptical orbit. Visualize these two stars dancing around a common centre. Alpha Centauri A is a yellow star, very similar to our own sun, radiating a familiar golden warmth. Alpha Centauri B is slightly smaller, glowing with a more orange tangerine hue. Every 80 years they complete a slow, graceful waltz around one another. From a distance their lights blend into a single beacon of welcome. They are the nearest lighthouse to us, the first stop on the grand voyage out of the solar system. There is a sense of kinship here. These stars are not monsters or ghosts. They are suns like ours, familiar fires burning in the hearth of the centaur. They represent the possibility of connection, the knowledge that just across the cosmic street there are other suns warming other spaces, keeping company in the lonely dark. These stars serve as the shining foot of a great celestial figure, the constellation Centaurus. In the mythology of the sky, this is the wise centaur Chiron, a teacher and a healer, galloping across the southern heavens. Unlike the smaller, fainter constellations, Centaurus is vast and sprawling, wrapping itself around the Southern Cross. Visualize the lines connecting these stars, drawing the torso of a man merging with the body of a horse. It is a picture of strength and duality, half earthly and half divine. The centaur is rich with treasures, holding within its boundaries some of the most spectacular objects in the galaxy. It is a guardian of the southern sky, a massive silent figure patrolling the Milky Way. To see Centaurus requires one to travel south, to stand beneath the skies of the southern hemisphere where the galactic centre rides high. Imagine looking up from a quiet beach in Australia or a mountain in Chile. The centaur stands directly overhead, a majestic, glittering architecture of light that has guided navigators and dreamers for millennia. Feel the protective presence of this ancient teacher, standing watch over your sleep, his spear lowered, his gaze fixed on the horizon of your dreams. Held safely within the arms of the centaur lies one of the crowning jewels of the night, Omega Centauri. To the unaided eye, it looks like a fuzzy, slightly out of focus star, a smudge of light on the velvet canvas, but through a telescope it explodes into a magnificent glittering sphere. It is the largest and brightest globular cluster in the Milky Way, containing nearly 10 million stars. But Omega Centauri is special. It is not just a cluster. It is believed to be the ancient core of a dwarf galaxy that was long ago consumed by our Milky Way. It is a fossil, the surviving heart of a lost kingdom. Visualize 10 million stars packed into a tight ball, swirling like a swarm of golden bees. The density is overwhelming. In the centre, the stars are so close that they would appear to touch. It is a crowded, bustling metropolis of light, humming with the energy of millions of suns. Yet from our distance it is silent, a perfect glowing orb suspended in the dark. It reminds us of the history of the galaxy, a history of mergers and acquisitions, where nothing is truly lost, only absorbed and transformed. Let the complexity of those 10 million lights blur into a single soft glow in your mind, a heavy, hypnotic sphere of pure radiance lulling you into a trance. Guarded by the centaur and pointing the way to the pole is the smallest, yet perhaps the most iconic, of all the 88 constellations, Crux, the Southern Cross. It is a compact, diamond-shaped arrangement of 4 bright stars and a fainter 5th one tucked to the side that shines with piercing intensity against the rich band of the Milky Way. For centuries, sailors used this cross to find true south, just as northern travellers use Polaris. It is the anchor of the southern night. Visualize the cross hanging upright in the sky, a celestial kite flown on an invisible string. The stars are brilliant white blue, burning with a fierce hot clarity. Because the constellation is so small, it feels intimate, like a brooch pinned to the dark fabric of the universe. It is a symbol of guidance and direction. When you feel lost in the vastness of the dreamscape, look for the cross. It is steady, it is bright, and it points the way home. It turns the sky into a compass. Feel the stability of that shape, the perfect geometry of the 4 stars holding their formation against the turning of the world, creating a fixed point of reference in the swirling river of the night. If we peer deeper into the region near the Southern Cross, we discover a hidden treasure chest known as the Jewel Box Cluster. When the astronomer John Herschel first saw it in the 1830s, he described it as a casket of variously coloured precious stones. It is an open cluster of roughly 100 stars, but it is their colour that captivates the mind. Most star clusters appear uniform in colour, usually blue or white, but the Jewel Box is a splash of contrast, dominated by bright blue supergiants, but right in the centre sits a solitary, deep ruby red star. Visualize opening a velvet box to find diamonds, sapphires, and a single glowing garnet. The contrast between the piercing blue and the deep orange red creates a visual harmony that feels almost artificial, like a piece of art placed in the sky. These stars are young, only a few million years old, sparkling with the vibrancy of new life. They are huddled together, protecting one another in the cold vacuum. Imagine the light from these gems refracting through the prism of your imagination, painting the darkness behind your closed eyelids with soft streaks of sapphire and ruby light, a kaleidoscope of soothing colours turning slowly in the dark. Drifting away from the dense band of the Milky Way, our eyes catch a sight that looks like a detached piece of the galaxy floating alone in the deep ocean of the night. This is the Large Magellanic Cloud. It is a satellite galaxy, a smaller companion to our own Milky Way, dancing in a slow gravitational orbit around us. To the naked eye, it looks like a wisp of cloud, a luminous vapour that never moves with the wind. It is an island universe, roughly 160,000 light-years away, containing billions of its own stars. Imagine standing on the deck of a ship in the Southern Ocean, watching this glowing patch of light hover above the mast. It feels like a ghost, a phantom piece of the sky that has broken loose. But inside this cloud is a vibrant, churning world of star formation. It is a galaxy in its own right, with its own history, its own clusters, and its own mysteries. It reminds us that our galaxy is not alone. It has attendants. The Large Magellanic Cloud is a faithful companion, keeping pace with us as we tumble through the universe. Feel the comfort of that presence, a sidecar to our cosmic motorcycle, proving that even galaxies travel in pairs. Deep within this misty satellite galaxy lies a region of intense creation and monstrous scale, the Tarantula Nebula. It is the largest and most active star-forming region in our entire local group of galaxies. If this nebula were placed where the Orion Nebula is, just down the street from Earth relatively speaking, it would cover half the night sky and cast shadows on the ground. It is a spider of light. Visualize grand loops and filaments of glowing gas, stretching out like the legs of an arachnid, trapping stars in its web. But this is not a web of destruction. It is a web of birth. In the centre of the spider lies a cluster of massive stars, some of the largest ever discovered, monsters that are hundreds of times heavier than our Sun. They are blowing powerful winds that carve the gas into complex twisted shapes. The nebula glows with a spectral greenish-white light, a cavernous womb where thousands of solar systems are being knitted together from the dust. It is a place of raw, unbridled energy, yet from our distance, it is a silent, frozen explosion of light. Let the sheer scale of the tarantula expand your mind. It is a space so big that it defies boundaries, a vast glowing nursery humming with the lullaby of creation, rocking the newborn stars to sleep in its gaseous arms. And just beside that massive spider of light, drifting slightly further away in the deep southern currents, lies the partner to the Large Magellanic Cloud. We turn our attention now to the Small Magellanic Cloud. If the large cloud is a detached piece of the galaxy, the small cloud is a fragmented shard, a broken bar of starlight that has been twisted and pulled by the gravitational tides of its larger neighbour and the Milky Way itself. Visualize a stream of luminous vapour that has been disrupted by a cosmic wind. It is more chaotic, more dispersed, and yet it possesses a rugged, broken beauty. It is roughly 200,000 light-years away, a distance that makes it a true outpost of our local group. Standing under a dark sky, it appears not as a cloud, but as a detached patch of the Milky Way that has drifted off course. It is a galaxy in distress, slowly being torn apart, but in that destruction, there is creation. The gravitational tug-of-war is compressing its gas, igniting new stars. It reminds us that even in separation, even in the breaking apart of things, there is light. It is a celestial ruin, glowing with the memory of what it was and the promise of what it will become, floating silently in the wake of its larger brother. Hovering right next to this broken cloud, appearing to the naked eye like a slightly fuzzy star, is one of the true masterpieces of the southern sky, 47 Tucanae. This is not a single star, but a globular cluster of immense proportion, second only to Omega Centauri in brilliance. But where Omega is sprawling, 47 Tucanae is incredibly dense and compact. Picture a snowball made of a light. The core of this cluster is so packed with stars that they are separated by distances smaller than our own solar system. If you lived on a planet in the heart of 47 Tucanae, the the sky would be a blinding sheet of white fire. You would never know darkness. These stars are ancient, formed billions of years ago, glowing with a steady amber hue. It looks like a jewel pinned to the edge of the small Magellanic Cloud, though it is actually much closer to us, floating in the foreground. There is a sense of heaviness to it, a gravitational anchor. It feels solid, a dense knot of energy that has held itself together against the entropy of the universe for eons. Let your mind rest in the centre of that ball of light, bathed in the collective warmth of a million ancient suns, protected on all sides by a fortress of stars. Leaving the clouds and clusters of the far south, our eyes trace the imaginary line of the Milky Way to the second brightest star in the entire night sky, Canopus. While Sirius claims the title of the brightest, Canopus has a regal, commanding presence that has made it the guide for navigators for thousands of years. It sits in the constellation Carina, the keel of the great ship Argo. Canopus is a giant. If you were to replace our Sun with Canopus, it would swallow everything out to the orbit of Mercury. It shines with a brilliant, creamy white luster, a steady lantern over the southern horizon. Because it sits far from the ecliptic plane where the planets roam, it is often used by spacecraft as a fixed navigational point. It is the star of the old man in Asian astronomy, a symbol of longevity and peace. Imagine the ancient Polynesians on their canoes crossing the vast Pacific. Canopus was their southern pillar, the star that reassured them that the world was still steady. Visualizing Canopus brings a sense of orientation. It is your anchor. No matter how far you drift in your dreams, this great white star marks the south, a lighthouse that never moves, watching over the bottom of the world. Surrounding this great navigator star is a nebula that rivals the famous Orion in grandeur, though it remains hidden from the northern world. This is the Carina Nebula. It is a sprawling landscape of gas and dust, 4 times larger than the Orion Nebula, a chaotic, windswept terrain of the gods. Visualize a range of mountains, but instead of stone, they are built from cold, dark hydrogen gas, rimmed with the golden light of newborn stars. This is the home of the Mystic Mountain, a pillar of gas that rises 3 light-years high, shaped by the searing radiation of the giants born within it. The nebula is rent by dark lanes and bright knots, a visual symphony of turmoil and creation. It is a place of violent beauty, where the winds from massive stars carve sculptures out of the void. Yet, from our distance, it is perfectly still. It looks like a storm frozen in time, a painting of a tempest that makes no sound. Wander through these canyons of gas in your imagination. The walls are towering clouds of glowing mist, red and orange and pink, sheltering you from the emptiness of space. It is a place to get lost, a labyrinth of light where you can float endlessly without ever finding a dead end. Buried deep within the heart of this glowing nebula lies a ticking clock, a star that is struggling against its own mortality. This is Eta Carinae. It is one of the most massive and unstable stars in the galaxy, a binary system that is teetering on the edge of a supernova explosion. But it is not the explosion we focus on. It is the shroud it has created. In the 1840s, this star erupted in a great eruption, becoming the second brightest star in the sky before fading away. It ejected a massive amount of material that now surrounds it in a shape known as the Homunculus Nebula. Visualize 2 ballooning lobes of gas and dust, expanding outward from the star like an hourglass or a pair of lungs. The star sits pinched between them, hidden in a thick cocoon of dust. It is a little man made of gas. This structure is expanding slowly, a slow-motion explosion that has been unfolding for nearly 2 centuries. There is a tension here, but it is a held breath. The star is waiting. It is a reminder of the immense power contained in the cosmos, wrapped up in layers of silence. It represents the pause before the release, the heavy, gathered energy of a storm that has not yet broken. Drifting north from the heavy mists of Carina, we cross the celestial equator to find the undisputed king of the night sky. the brightest star visible from Earth, Sirius. Known as the Dog Star, it is the jewel of the constellation Canis Major. It shines with a piercing blue-white intensity that cuts through the atmosphere like a diamond blade. Sirius is not merely bright because it is huge, but because it is close, only 8.6 light-years away. It is our neighbour. To the ancient Egyptians, the rising of Sirius before the dawn heralded the flooding of the Nile, the return of life and fertility to the land. It is a star of promise. Visualize that piercing blue light. It is cold, clean, and refreshing. It feels like stepping into a cool stream on a hot day. The light of Sirius creates a visual anchor so strong that it often casts faint shadows on the ground in dark locations. It is the watchful eye of the great celestial dog, loyal and bright, sitting at the feet of the hunter Orion, guarding the gates of the night. Let its brilliance wash away any fog in your mind, leaving only clarity and a cool blue peace. As you gaze at Sirius, especially when it is low on the horizon, you will notice that it does not shine steadily. It dances. It flashes with every colour of the rainbow: red, blue, green, violet. This phenomenon is known as scintillation, or simply twinkling. This is not a property of the star itself, which shines with a steady light, but a gift from our own atmosphere. As the starlight travels through the layers of air above you, it passes through pockets of different temperatures and densities. These pockets act like tiny lenses, bending the light this way and that, splitting it into its spectral colours. Sirius, being so bright, puts on the greatest show of all. It is a kaleidoscope. Imagine the air above you as a living fluid ocean, and the starlight is struggling to swim through it to reach your eye. The twinkling is the interaction between the heavens and the earth. It is the atmosphere breathing. Watch the colours shift and spike in your mind, a diamond turning in the light. It is hypnotic, a rapid-fire lullaby of colour that tires the eyes and invites them to close, letting the colours merge into a single soft darkness. But Sirius is not alone in his kennel. If we look slightly to the east and north, we find the little dog star, Procyon. While less brilliant than Sirius, it is still the 8th brightest star in the sky, a golden white beacon that rises just before its big brother. The name Procyon literally means before the dog. Procyon serves as the herald. In the ancient world, seeing Procyon meant that Sirius was coming soon. It is the announcer of the night's greatest splendour. There is a gentleness to Procyon. It is a yellow-white subgiant, slightly evolved, beginning to cool as it ages. It feels softer, less piercing than the blue diamond of Sirius. It forms one corner of the winter triangle, linking with Sirius and Betelgeuse to form a massive geometric shape across the sky. Visualize this triangle connecting the stars. It brings order to the scattered lights. Procyon is the steady, reliable corner, the quiet companion that ensures the geometry holds. It reminds us that there is always something coming, always a brighter light on the horizon, and that the present moment is a beautiful preparation for what is next. Drifting upward from the dogs, we find a pair of stars that have stood together in mythology for as long as humans have looked up. The Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux. These two bright stars mark the heads of the celestial brothers, resting side by side in the dark. Though they look like a matching pair, they are distinct individuals. Pollux, the brighter of the two, is a golden-orange giant, a star that has swelled and cooled. Castor, slightly dimmer, is a sparkling white light. But Castor hides a secret. It is not one star, but 6. It is a complex system of 3 pairs of stars all dancing around one another, a chaotic family masquerading as a single point of light. The twins represent duality, the mortal and the immortal, the single and the multiple, the gold and the white. They stand arm in arm, inseparable. Visualizing them brings a sense of companionship. You're never truly alone. There is always a twin, a shadow, a partner in the sky. They remind us of the bonds that cannot be broken, of the brotherly love that was placed in the stars to endure forever. Finally, completing the great circle of bright stars around the hunter, we climb to the high northern sky to find the charioteer, Auriga, and its golden heart, Capella. This is the goat star, the sixth brightest in the sky, and distinct for its rich yellow hue that closely matches our own sun. Capella is a comfort star. It often sits high in the sky during the long winter nights of the northern hemisphere, a warm golden lamp hanging from the ceiling of the world. Like Castor, it is an illusion. It is actually a pair of yellow giant stars orbiting each other so closely that they share an atmosphere, swirling in a mutual embrace. They are slowly dying, expanding as they age, pouring their energy into one another. The light you see is the blended warmth of two aging suns. Visualize a hearth fire crackling and yellow, suspended in the cold vacuum. Capella feels like home. It does not have the icy aloofness of the blue giants. It has the familiar nurturing glow of a late afternoon sun. It watches over the northern pole, a guardian of the winter, promising that even in the longest, coldest nights, there is a golden warmth waiting to hold you. From the golden warmth of Capella, we allow our focus to drift downward, toward the path that the sun and planets travel, the great celestial highway known as the ecliptic. This is not a star, but a line, an imaginary track that circles the entire celestial sphere. It is the plane of our solar system projected onto the sky. Visualize a ribbon of silk winding its way through the stars. All the major players, the Sun, the Moon, Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, stick to this ribbon. They never wander far from it. It is the main street of the galaxy's suburbs. Ancient astronomers noticed that while the stars were fixed in their patterns, these wanderers, the planets, moved along this specific path. It creates a sense of order in the chaos. There is a defined road. As you lie in bed, imagine this smooth, curving highway stretching from the eastern horizon, arcing high overhead and dipping down into the west. It is a flow of traffic that has been moving for billions of years. It anchors you to the plane of the Earth's orbit. You are riding on a planet that is sliding effortlessly along this invisible rail, smooth and silent, part of a great organized procession that circles the sun endlessly. Lining the walls of this great highway are the 12 ancient figures of the zodiac. These are the constellations that the sun passes through, the backdrop for the solar journey. We drift first to the mighty bull, Taurus. Visualize the V-shape of the Hyades cluster forming the bull's face, with the bright, angry red eye of Aldebaran staring down. Taurus is a constellation of earth and strength. It represents solidity. The bull is charging, yet frozen in the sky, its horns tipped with stars. Aldebaran, the follower, trails behind the Pleiades, a loyal guardian. The light from Aldebaran is orange and cool, a giant star that has exhausted its hydrogen fuel. It feels grounded. It is not flighty or ethereal. It is heavy, rooted in the sky. To look at Taurus is to feel the strength of the ground beneath you. It connects the ethereal sky to the physical earth. Imagine the weight of the bull, steady and unmoving, offering its broad back as a place for your weary mind to rest. It is a foundation, a bedrock in the sea of stars holding the line of the ecliptic steady. Following the bull on the ecliptic path, we find the faint shimmering glow of Cancer, the crab. This is one of the dimmest constellations, often hiding in the dark, shy and retreating. But within its shell it holds a secret treasure, the beehive cluster, or prasep. To the naked eye, the beehive looks like a small fuzzy patch of mist, a little cloud that won't blow away. But through the lens of imagination, it resolves into a swarm of 1,000 stars. They are an open cluster, buzzing with energy, yet captured in a small area of the sky. The ancients saw it as a manger where two donkeys, the stars Asellus Borealis and Asellus Australis, were feeding. There is a coziness to this image, a manger in the dark, a hive of activity that is silent to us. The crab is a protector, carrying its home on its back, sheltering this cluster of young stars within its hard shell. It represents the safety of the interior, the comfort of a hiding place. Let yourself curl up like the crab, pulling your energy inward, protecting your soft center, safe within the dark, fuzzy glow of the beehive. Moving further along the zodiacal road, we encounter the king of beasts, Leo the lion. This is one of the few constellations that actually resembles its namesake. You can clearly see the backward question mark of stars that forms the head and mane, and the triangle that forms the haunches. At the base of the lion's chest beats the heart star, Regulus. The name means Little King. It is a blue-white star spinning rapidly, ruling over the spring sky. Leo is a symbol of confidence and repose. The lion in the sky is not hunting, he is crouching, resting, watching. Visualize a great sphinx made of stars lying contentedly in the darkness. There is a nobility here. The stars of Leo are regal and bright, demanding attention without shouting. They remind us of the power of rest. Even the king of beasts must sleep. Even the sun passes through the lion and rests. Feel the majestic calmness of the lion, the heavy pause, the slow breath, the confident stillness that comes from knowing you are safe and strong. Drifting past the lion, we come to a region of the sky that feels open and airy, dominated by the constellation Virgo. Here lies a star of pure icy white, Spica. This star is the ear of wheat, held in the Virgin's hand, a symbol of harvest and abundance. Spica is a binary star, two giants whirling around each other so close that they are egg-shaped, distorted by their mutual gravity. But to us, it is a singular, pristine point of light. It sits in a lonely part of the sky, far from the crowded bands of the Milky Way. This isolation makes it stand out, a lonely diamond on a vast black cloth. Spica is a guide to the spring, a sign of new growth. Its light is crisp, clean, and piercingly bright. It feels like a cool breeze on a warm night. Visualize holding that ear of wheat, the single grain of light that promises future sustenance. It is a star of potential, of seeds planted in the dark that will rise in the light. It brings a sense of hope, a clean slate, a fresh start waiting for you when you wake. But Virgo hides a secret far deeper than the stars within her. Peering past Spica, deep into the bowl of the Virgin's arm, we look millions of light years away to the Virgo cluster. This is not a cluster of stars, but a cluster of galaxies. Visualize a downtown city of the cosmos. Here, thousands of galaxies, each containing billions of stars, are swarming together. There are giant elliptical galaxies, massive balls of light that have swallowed their neighbours, and delicate spirals spinning like tops. This is the heart of our local supercluster. Our own Milky Way is being gently tugged toward this massive gathering. It is a reminder of scale that goes beyond comprehension, yet it is strangely comforting. We are part of a neighbourhood. We are not a lonely outpost. We are in the suburbs of a great metropolis of light. The gravity of the Virgo cluster anchors our corner of the universe. It is the downtown to our countryside. Feel the gentle pull of that distant city, the collective gravity of 1 trillion suns keeping our galaxy from drifting aimlessly into the void. Finally, we arrive at the scales of Libra. This is the only inanimate object in the zodiac, representing balance and equilibrium. The stars here are fainter, forming a simple diamond or box shape, hanging quietly in the dark. In ancient times, these stars were seen as the claws of the scorpion, but they were transformed into the scales of justice. They represent the point where day and night are equal. Visualizing Libra brings a sense of centering. The scales are not tipped, they are perfectly level. The chaos of the universe balances out. The heat of the stars is balanced by the cold of the void. The gravity of the black holes is balanced by the expansion of space. Everything is in its right place. As you lie in the stillness, imagine your own body as a set of scales coming to rest. The events of the day on one side, the promise of tomorrow on the other, bringing you to a perfect hovering center point of now. The needle is still, the weight is lifted. You're in a state of perfect cosmic equilibrium, suspended in the gentle balancing darkness of the night. From that point of perfect suspended equilibrium, where the scales of the night hold steady, we drift slowly along the ecliptic to a constellation that challenges that balance with the beat of a fierce rhythmic heart. We arrive at the winding serpentine form of Scorpius. Unlike many constellations that require a leap of faith to see the figure they represent, the Scorpion is drawn with striking clarity. Visualize a long hooked line of stars trailing down toward the southern horizon, curling at the end like a stinging tail ready to strike, yet frozen in the onyx amber of the sky. This is one of the oldest constellations known to human memory, a figure that has crawled across the southern sky for thousands of years. At the centre of its chest, pulsating with a slow, heavy cadence, lies the star Antares. Its name means the rival of Mars, for it shines with the same rusty blood-orange hue as the red planet. Antares is a red supergiant of staggering proportions. If placed in the centre of our solar system, its surface would extend out past the orbit of Mars, swallowing the Earth whole in a bath of fire. But from our safe distance, it is a soothing, ruddy lantern. It is a dying star, cool and bloated, shedding its outer layers into the surrounding space to form a nebula of dust that reflects the star's own orange light. Imagine this vast cloud of copper-coloured dust wrapping around the star, creating a soft, hazy glow that softens the sharpness of the vacuum. There is a deep, ancient wisdom to Antares. It is a star at the end of its life, burning its remaining fuel with a sombre majesty. As you visualize the Scorpion, let the red light of Antares serve as a warm hearth in the south, a slow, beating heart that regulates the rhythm of the night, pumping a sense of drowsy warmth into the cool air of your dreamscape. Following the stinging tail of the Scorpion, our gaze slides eastward into the richest, densest part of the night sky, the domain of Sagittarius. While the ancients saw a centaur archer here, drawing his bow to aim at the heart of the Scorpion, modern eyes often see a more domestic and comforting shape, the teapot. Visualize a classic stout teapot formed by the brightest stars, a handle on the left, a pointed lid on top, and a spout on the right. It is tilted slightly, as if pouring a hot drink into the void. And indeed, rising from the spout of this celestial vessel is a cloud of steam. This steam is the Milky Way itself. Here, the band of the galaxy is at its brightest and broadest, billowing upward like vapour from the spout, stretching across the sky in a magnificent arch. When you look towards Sagittarius, you're looking toward the very centre of our galaxy, the downtown district of the Milky Way, some 26,000 light-years away. The star fields here are incredibly dense, a crowded tapestry of millions of suns that blur into a luminous fog. It is a view of profound depth. You are peering through the dust lanes, past the spiral arms, toward the hidden supermassive black hole that anchors us all. But there is no fear here, only a sense of belonging to a massive swirling city of light. Let the image of the teapot pouring its milky steam soothe you. A cosmic tea service set out for the gods, offering a warm, comforting brew of starlight to drink in as you rest. Floating within this steam, caught in the rich currents of the Milky Way, lies a shallow pool of light known as the Lagoon Nebula. Just above the spout of the teapot, visible even to the naked eye on a dark night as a faint grey patch, lies this stellar nursery. The name evokes a quiet, tropical body of water, separated from the crashing waves of the ocean by a protective reef. In the sky, the water is glowing hydrogen gas, and the reef is a dark lane of dust that cuts through the nebula, dividing it into two glowing halves. Visualize swimming in this celestial lagoon. The gas is not water, but a thin, ethereal mist glowing with shades of soft pink and electric grey. It is a place of stillness and incubation. Inside these clouds, new stars are forming, gravitational knots tightening in the dark until they ignite. There is a tactile softness to the lagoon nebula. It feels like velvet to the eye. The light is diffuse, lacking the harsh glare of a single point source. It is a glowing cavern, a bay of tranquility on the edge of the galactic ocean. Imagine yourself floating on your back in this glowing mist, weightless and warm, supported by the gas that creates stars. The waves here are slow ripples of radiation, gently rocking you. It is a sanctuary where the universe is busy creating, yet doing so with a hush, a quiet work of art unfolding in the dark currents of Sagittarius. As we swim upward from the lagoon, following the great river of the Milky Way as it flows toward the north, we encounter the majestic bird of the summer sky, Aquila, the eagle. This constellation flies along the Milky Way, its wings spread wide against the stream of stars. The heart of the eagle is the star Altair. It is one of the closest stars to Earth, a neighbour at only 16 light-years away. Altair is a star in a hurry. It spins on its axis with incredible speed, completing a full rotation in just 9 hours, compared to our Sun, which takes nearly a month. Because of this frantic spinning, Altair is not a sphere. It is flattened into the shape of a doorknob or a crushed beach ball, bulging at the equator. But from our perspective, we simply see a brilliant white diamond. Altair is often depicted as the eagle carrying the thunderbolts of Zeus. There is a sharp electric clarity to its light. It feels energetic and alert. Flanked by 2 smaller stars, Tarazed and Alshane, Altair forms a straight line of 3 stars that resembles the shaft of a balancing pole or the wings of a bird in flight. Visualize this eagle gliding effortlessly on the updrafts of the Milky Way. It does not flap, it soars. It rides the currents of starlight with perfect aerodynamic grace. Let your mind hitch a ride on the back of this great bird, feeling the wind of the cosmos in your face as you glide silently, high above the worries of the world, carried by the strong, swift wings of the night. Further up the celestial river, flying in the opposite direction to meet the eagle, is the graceful form of Cygnus, the swan. This is one of the few constellations that looks exactly like what it is supposed to be. A long, slender neck stretches out, ending in a head. Broad, majestic wings sweep back on either side, and a short tail follows behind. Cygnus is also known as the Northern Cross, for its stars form a perfect grand crucifix embedded in the Milky Way. Visualize a swan landing on a dark lake. The wings are arched, catching the air to slow its descent. The neck is curved in a gesture of elegance. The swan is diving into the darkest part of the Milky Way, a region known as the Great Rift, where dust clouds split the river of stars in 2. There is a profound peace in the image of the swan. It moves without effort. It belongs to the river. In mythology, this swan is often a god in disguise, or a musician transformed, forever gliding through the heavens. The stars of the wings, Delta and Epsilon Cygni, span a vast distance, embracing a huge swathe of the sky. To look at Cygnus is to look at grace personified. It invites you to let go of resistance, to stop fighting the current, and to simply glide. Imagine your own body becoming as light as a feather, floating on the surface of the night, drifting downstream with the elegant, silent motion of the swan. At the very tail of the swan, marking the top of the Northern Cross, shines one of the most powerful lighthouses in the galaxy, Deneb. While it appears to our eyes as a modest first-magnitude star, roughly the same brightness as Altair, this is an illusion of distance. Deneb is a monster. It is a blue-white supergiant, located over 1,500 light-years away, nearly 100 times farther than Altair. If Deneb were placed where Sirius is, it would cast shadows on Earth brighter than the full moon and be visible during the day. It is a searchlight pointed at us from across the abyss. Deneb radiates with the light of 200,000 suns. It is burning its fuel with a voracious intensity, living fast and bright. But because it is so far away, its light reaches us as a steady, unblinking, piercing point. It serves as the tail light of the swan, but also as a beacon for the entire northern sky. There is a sense of immense depth when you look at Deneb. You're looking deep into the structure of the galaxy. You're seeing a light that left its source when the Roman Empire was falling, travelling through the Dark Ages, the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution, just to land on your retina tonight. It is a connection to the deep past and the deep distance. Let the power of Deneb remind you of your own inner strength, a light that shines across great distances, undimmed by the void, steady and true at the tail of the celestial bird. At the other end of the swan, marking the head or the beak, is a star that offers a completely different sensory experience, Alboreo. To the naked eye, it appears as a single, faint star, but through the lens of a telescope, or the lens of your imagination, it resolves into the most beautiful double star in the heavens. It is a jewel of contrast. The brighter star is a rich golden topaz shining with a warm amber light. Its companion, sitting close beside it, is a striking sapphire blue. The colours are so vivid, so perfectly complementary, that they look like gemstones set in black velvet. The jewel of the summer sky. This colour contrast tells the story of temperature. The gold star is cooler, expanding and mellow. The blue star is hot, fierce, and young. Together they create a harmony of opposites: fire and ice, gold and azure, day and night. Visualize these two tiny points of coloured light dancing together. They're a binary pair, bound by gravity, yet distinct in their nature. They remind us that beauty often comes from contrast, from the pairing of unlike things. Let the colours of Alboreo swirl in your mind, a drop of honey and a drop of ocean water, mixing slowly in the dark, creating a soothing, colourful eddy in the stream of your thoughts. Near the swan, just off to the side of the Milky Way, lies a small, compact constellation that holds a star of legendary purity, Lyra, the harp. And the jewel in the harp is Vega. Vega is the definition of brilliance. For astronomers, it is the standard candle, the 0 point, against which the brightness of all other stars is measured. Its magnitude is 0. Its colour is a distinct, crisp blue-white. Vega is like a polished shard of ice or a diamond submerged in clear water. It sits high overhead in the northern summer, dominating the zenith. Approximately 12,000 years ago, Vega was our North Star, and in another 12,000 years, it will be again. It is a queen in exile, waiting to reclaim the pole. Because Vega spins rapidly and we look almost directly down its pole, it presents a perfect circular face to us. There is a musical quality to Lyra. In myth, it was the lyre of Orpheus, whose music was so sweet it could charm the stones and soothe the beasts. Visualize the light of Vega as a sound, a high, clear, pure note, like a finger running around the rim of a crystal glass. It is a tone of absolute clarity. Let this visual sound resonate through you, vibrating away the dissonance of the day, tuning your mind to the frequency of pure white light. If we draw a line connecting these three great stars we have just visited, Vega in the harp, Deneb in the swan, and Altair in the eagle, we form a massive geometric shape known as the summer triangle. This is not a constellation, but an asterism, a pattern that spans across boundaries. The summer triangle is a giant window into the galaxy. It frames a section of the Milky Way that is rich with rifts, clouds, and clusters. When you look up on a warm night and see these three stars reigning overhead, you are looking through a portal. Visualize a giant triangular skylight in the roof of the world. Through this glass, you can see the dusty river of the galaxy flowing between the stars. The triangle is a symbol of the season, evoking memories of cricket songs, warm breezes, and the smell of cut grass. But even in the cold of winter, or in the depth of sleep, you can recall the warmth of the triangle. It is a stable structure, a tripod, the strongest shape in nature. It anchors the sky. Vega, Deneb, and Altair stand like three sentinels, holding up the vault of the heavens so you can sleep safely beneath them. Connect the dots in your mind, 1, 2, 3, drawing the lines of silver thread that bind these titans together, creating a canopy of protection over your bed. Just to the east of this great triangle, leaping out of the celestial ocean, is the small, delightful constellation of Delphinus, the dolphin. It is faint and small, but perfectly formed. 4 stars form a compact diamond shape, representing the dolphin's body, while a 5th star trails off to form the tail. This little group of stars is sometimes called Job's coffin, due to its boxy shape, but to look at it is to see a creature of joy. It looks exactly like a dolphin arching its back as it breaches the surface of the water. Visualize the cosmic ocean of the night sky as a liquid expanse. While the swan glides and the eagle soars, the dolphin plays. It is diving in and out of the black waves, glittering with a subtle, playful light. Delphinus reminds us that the universe is not just a place of crushing gravity and burning nuclear fires. It is also a place of lightness and whimsy. There is a sense of agility here. The dolphin is small but distinct, holding its own against the brightness of the nearby summer triangle. Imagine this little creature swimming through the stars near your window, performing a silent, graceful arc, splashing stardust with its tail. It invites you to dive with it, to slip beneath the surface of consciousness, down into the deep, cool, silent waters of sleep, where you can swim freely and weightlessly in the dream sea. And swimming alongside that playful dolphin, darting through the foam of the Milky Way, is a slender silver object that has been frozen in mid-flight for eternity. Sagitta, the arrow. Unlike the grand archers of the sky, Sagittarius and Orion, who hold their weapons ready, Sagitta is the projectile itself, released and soaring free. It is one of the smallest constellations, a simple line of 4 faint stars capped with a feathered tail, yet its shape is unmistakable. Visualize an arrow cast from a silver bow, gliding silently through the dark. It has no target that we can see. Its purpose is the flight itself. It is travelling from west to east, cutting against the grain of the celestial river. There is a profound stillness to this object. It represents the moment of suspension, the breath held between the release and the impact. It is caught in the forever now. As you watch it in your mind's eye, imagine that you are riding upon it, weightless and aerodynamic. You are cutting through the friction of the world, sharp and directed, yet making no sound. The arrow never lands, it never falls. It simply travels on and on, a symbol of endless momentum carrying you smoothly into the deep, uninterrupted trajectory of your dreams. Just above the flight path of this arrow, hidden in the dense starfields of the summer triangle, lies a shy and subtle creature, Vulpecula, the little fox. It is a faint constellation, often overlooked by those seeking brighter lights, but it holds within its jaws a spectacular treasure known as the Dumbbell Nebula. To the eye of the telescope, this nebula appears as a ghostly glowing hourglass, or perhaps the core of an apple eaten away by time. It is a planetary nebula, the expanding breath of a dying star similar to the Ring Nebula, but viewed from the side. Visualize 2 large ballooning lobes of gas, teal and violet, connected by a narrow waist. It looks like a weight made of light, heavy at the ends and thin in the middle, floating in a sea of ink. It is a soft, misty structure, expanding so slowly that it appears perfectly static. The little fox carries this weight effortlessly. It reminds us that even the quietest, most hidden corners of the sky, and of our own minds, contain structures of immense beauty. Let the soft, dual-lobed shape of the Dumbbell Nebula drift into your vision. It is balanced, symmetrical, and serene, a puff of cosmic smoke that has forgotten how to dissipate, lingering to decorate the quiet dark. Drifting west from the Fox and the Arrow, we arrive at a massive, sprawling figure that dominates the summer zenith, Hercules. Despite being named after the greatest hero of mythology, this constellation does not look like a warrior in the heat of battle. It looks like a keystone. The centre of the constellation is a distinct trapezoid of 4 stars, shaped like the central stone of an archway. This is the keystone of Hercules. Visualize a heavy stone doorframe set into the ceiling of the night. It represents a foundation, a structure that holds things together. In the traditional drawings, Hercules is not fighting. He is kneeling. He is the kneeler, tired after his labours, resting his weight on one knee in the Garden of the Stars. This image of the resting hero is deeply comforting. It tells us that even the strongest must pause. Even the bearers of great burdens must eventually kneel and find repose. Within the keystone lies the great Hercules cluster, a ball of 1,000,000 stars that we visited earlier, a jewel pinned to his side. Focus on the geometry of the keystone. It is stable, solid, and architectural. It locks the sky into place. Let it lock your mind into a state of security, a heavy, stone-like peace that cannot be shaken. Resting just beside the strong shoulder of Hercules is a delicate semicircle of stars that looks exactly like its name. Corona Borealis, the northern crown. It is a small, perfect tiara of 7 stars, curved into a gentle bowl shape. In mythology, this was the crown of Ariadne, thrown into the sky by Dionysus. The brightest gem in the crown is the star Alphecca, or Gemma, which sparkles with a cool, pearlescent light. Unlike the jagged, chaotic shapes of other constellations, the crown is orderly and graceful. It is a cup waiting to be filled, or a diadem resting on a velvet cushion. There is a quiet dignity to it. It does not shout, it simply adorns. Visualize this curve of diamonds hovering over you. It creates a sense of royalty and worthiness. You're sleeping beneath a crown. The universe has placed a wreath of light upon your brow to honour your rest. Trace the curve with your mind, star to star to star, feeling the smooth, unbroken arc. It is an open embrace, a celestial smile that cradles the darkness within its jewelled rim. If you follow the curve of the Big Dipper's handle, swinging outward in a grand arc across the high sky, you will arc to Arcturus. We arrive now at the 4th brightest star in the heavens, the golden-orange giant, Arcturus. It is the anchor of the constellation Bootes, the herdsman. Arcturus is a star of immense antiquity. It belongs to the old population of the galaxy, born before our Sun, in the halo of the Milky Way. It is simply passing through our neighbourhood, cutting through the galactic disk at a steep angle. In a few 100,000 years it will be gone, vanished into the depths of space. But for now it is our lantern. Its light is not white like Sirius, but a rich, warm topaz, like honey held up to a candle. It feels swollen and ripe, a star that has expanded and cooled. When the Chicago World's Fair opened in 1933, they used the light of Arcturus, focused through a telescope, to trigger the switch that turned on the city's lights, believing the light had started its journey during the previous fair 40 years prior. It is a bridge across time. Feel the warmth of this orange giant. It is a grandfather star watching over the herd of lesser lights, a steady, wandering flame that warms the cold night air. Drifting south from the high, orange fire of Arcturus, we descend into the spring sky to find a creature perched in the dark, Corvus, the crow. It is a small, compact constellation, easily recognised by its distinctive shape, a quadrilateral or a lopsided box that resembles the sail of a ship or a bird looking over its shoulder. Corvus rides on the back of the great water snake, waiting. In myth, the crow was a bird of prophecy and intelligence, but also of delay. It was sent to fetch a cup of water but was distracted by the ripening of figs. There is a stillness to Corvus. It is not flying, it is perched. The stars are moderately bright, forming a clear, sharp geometric pattern against a rather empty region of the sky. This isolation makes it stand out. It is a sentinel. Visualize a black bird with feathers made of starlight, gripping the Hydra's back, watching the slow rotation of the Earth. The The shape is rigid and tense like a spring, but in the context of the night it serves as a marker. It defines the void around it. Let the clarity of that four-sided shape bring order to your thoughts. It is a box to put your worries in, a container of light that holds the darkness at bay. And what is the crow perched upon? It rides the spine of the largest and longest constellation in the entire sky, Hydra, the water snake. This is not a creature you can see in a single glance. It is a river of stars that winds its way across more than 1/4 of the horizon. To see Hydra rise is a process of patience. The head, a small circle of 6 stars, rises first, peering cautiously over the eastern horizon. Then, hour after hour, the body uncoils, a long sinuous chain of faint stars that dips and curves, finally ending in a tail that trails far behind. It takes nearly 7 hours for the entire snake to rise. It is the Mississippi River of the sky. Its heart is the star Alphard, which translates to the solitary one. Alphard sits alone in a great empty patch of sky, a lonely orange beacon in the dark. Visualize this massive serpent of light slithering silently through the deep ocean of the universe. It is ancient and slow. Its movement is the movement of the night itself. There is a comfort in its length, a continuity. It connects the winter sky to the summer sky, bridging the seasons with its endless winding body. Let yourself drift along the curves of the Hydra, floating down the stream of its spine, carried along by the current of the longest river in the heavens. Resting precariously on the back of this great snake, halfway down its length, is a vessel of divine craftsmanship, Crater, the cup. It is a faint but beautifully formed constellation. The stars trace out a perfect chalice, a wide bowl, a slender stem, and a base attached to the serpent. This is the cup of Apollo, the goblet of the gods. But in the quiet of the night, we can imagine it as the cup of sleep. It is tilted slightly, as if offering a drink to the thirsty universe. It is filled not with wine, but with the nectar of the night, dark, cool, and restorative. It catches the starlight that falls from above. Visualize lifting this heavy silver chalice to your lips. The liquid inside is the essence of relaxation, a brew made of silence and shadows. As you drink from the crater, you feel the heavy, warm sensation of sleep spreading through your chest, your limbs, your fingers. The cup is always full, always waiting. It is a symbol of receptivity. The sky is pouring out peace, and the cup is there to catch it. Be like the cup, open, curved, and ready to receive the gentle pouring gift of slumber. Looking past the cup and the crow, peering deep into the borderlands between the constellations of Virgo and Corvus, we spot a shape that looks remarkably like a piece of clothing floating in the dark. This is Messier 104, the Sombrero Galaxy. Through a telescope, it is one of the most striking objects in the universe. It is a spiral galaxy seen almost edge-on, but with a large, glowing central bulge that rises up like the crown of a broad-brimmed hat. Cutting directly across the centre is a thick, sharp lane of dark dust which forms the brim. This dust lane is a silhouette against the white glow of the galaxy's core, creating a dramatic, high-contrast ring. Visualize this majestic hat floating in the void, tipped slightly to show us its shape. It feels suspended, hovering in a way that defies gravity. It is an island of 800 billion suns, separated from us by 29 million light-years. The rim of the hat is a nursery where new stars are being born in the dark dust, while the crown is a retirement home for old yellow stars. It is a balance of youth and age, light and shadow. The image is surreal and delightful, a cosmic accessory left behind by a giant. Let the sombrero spin slowly in your mind, a flying saucer of light, spinning a web of silence, hovering perfectly still in the vast empty theatre of the Virgo cluster. Finally, we drift upward from the heavy winding snake to a delicate waterfall of light known as Coma Berenice's, or Berenice's hair. This is the only constellation named after a historical queen, Queen Berenice of Egypt, who sacrificed her long, beautiful amber hair to the gods for the safe return of her husband. The constellation does not look like a stick figure. It looks like a scattering of diamond dust. It is a large, open cluster of faint stars that cascades down the sky like a shimmering veil or a loose tress of hair catching the moonlight. It is subtle and ethereal. When you look at Coma Berenices, you're looking out of the window of the Milky Way. Here, we are looking straight up, out of the dense disk of our galaxy, toward the galactic North Pole. Because there is no thick dust to block the view, this region is a window to the deep universe, revealing thousands of distant galaxies beyond the stars. But focus on the hair itself. Visualize the strands of soft, glittering light falling gently over the face of the night. It is a texture, not a shape. It is soft, tangled, and luminous. Imagine brushing your hand through these stars. They are cool and silky. The constellation represents sacrifice and love, but also softness and letting go. The hair is no longer bound. It is cut loose, free to float in the heavens. Let your own thoughts be like Berenice's hair, unbound, untied, falling loosely away, scattering into a beautiful glittering drift of stardust that fades softly into the dark. Drifting gently from the scattering silken strands of Berenice's hair, our gaze floats upward into a quiet, often overlooked patch of the heavens, directly beneath the curved handle of the Great Bear. Here lie the hunting dogs, Canes Venatici. While the stars that outline the dogs are faint, barely tracing a line in the dark, they guard a spectacular secret, a grand spiral staircase known as the Whirlpool Galaxy. Visualize looking down into a deep, dark well and seeing a perfect, swirling vortex of light at the bottom. The Whirlpool is one of the few galaxies that presents its face directly to us, allowing us to trace every graceful curve of its arms. These are not tight, fearful arms, but wide, languid sweeps of star-studded gas, glowing with the pink hue of hydrogen nurseries and the icy blue of young star clusters. It is a portrait of mathematical perfection, a golden ratio painted in light. But the Whirlpool is not dancing alone. At the tip of one of its spiral arms hangs a smaller yellowish companion galaxy. They are holding hands across the void, connected by a bridge of stars and dust. It is a cosmic waltz between a parent and a child, a gravitational embrace that has lasted for eons. As you picture this, feel the slow, turning motion of the spiral. It is a hypnotic wheel, spinning so slowly that it appears motionless, churning the dark waters of space into a froth of luminescence, pulling your thoughts inward toward its calm, bright center. Just above these hunting dogs, dominating the northern sky with its sheer size and familiarity, is the great asterism that has guided humanity since the first eyes looked upward, the Big Dipper. While it is part of the larger Great Bear, Ursa Major, we focus now on the 7 bright stars that form the ladle. Visualize this shape not just as points of light, but as a vessel. It is a giant cup, a celestial drinking gourd dipped into the ink of the night. For thousands of years, cultures have seen this as a wagon, a plough, a coffin, or a ladle, but always as something that carries. It is a heavy, sturdy shape. The bowl of the Dipper is vast. You could fit the entire moon inside it 10 times over. The stars that form it, Dubhe, Merak, Fexta, Megrez, are bright and white, burning with a clean, hot intensity. They are siblings, born from the same moving group of stars travelling together through the galaxy. There is a sense of solidarity here. They're not random, they are a fleet. As the Earth turns, the Dipper swings around the pole, scooping up the darkness, pouring it out again in an endless cycle. Imagine holding the handle of this great spoon. It is cool and smooth. It feels balanced in your hand. It offers you a drink from the deep, cool reservoir of the universe, a draught of pure starlight to quench the thirst of a weary mind. If you look closely at the handle of this great ladle, specifically at the bend where the handle breaks, you will find a test of vision and a reward for the attentive, the double star Mizar and Alcor. To the casual glance, it appears as a single point of light, but to the relaxed and focused eye, it resolves into two. This is the horse and rider. Mizar is the horse, the brighter star, carrying the weight of the handle. Alcor is the rider, a tiny faint spark clinging to the horse's back. For centuries, desert nomads and ancient armies used this pair as an eye test. If you could see the rider, your vision was sharp enough for the watch, but in the dreamscape we see it as a symbol of companionship. The rider is small, but he is never left behind. He travels in step with the horse, bound by gravity and destiny. Through a telescope, the scene becomes even more complex. Mizar itself splits into two, and those stars are binaries themselves. It is a family of stars, a nested doll of light. Visualize this tiny rider, holding on tight as the Great Bear lumbers across the sky. It is a reminder that even in the vastness, nothing travels entirely alone. There is always a shadow, a partner, a small companion riding along on the journey. Weaving its way between the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper is a sinuous, winding river of stars that forms the body of Draco the dragon. Unlike the straight lines of other constellations, Draco coils and loops, wrapping itself around the North Pole like a protective serpent guarding a garden. Visualize a long, scaled body made of faint stars, slithering silently through the dark gaps of the northern sky. The dragon does not breathe fire, it breathes silence. Its head is marked by a distinctive lozenge or diamond shape of 4 stars, peering out with unblinking eyes. This dragon is ancient. Thousands of years ago, before Polaris claimed the throne, a star in Draco's tail called Thuban was the North Star. The Great Pyramids of Egypt were built to align with it. It is the ghost of the pole, a retired king. Thuban now sits quietly in the body of the snake, watching the world turn around a new centre. There is a slowness to Draco. It is a reptile of the deep cold, moving with a lethargic, hypnotic grace. Trace the curves of its body in your mind, left, then right, then curling back. A labyrinth of light that lulls the eye into a trance, winding you tighter and tighter into a cocoon of safety. Opposite the Great Bear, on the other side of the pole, sits the Queen of the Night, Cassiopeia. She is unmistakable, formed by 5 bright stars that create a jagged, perfect W or M shape, depending on the time of night. This is the throne. In mythology, the queen was placed in the sky as punishment for her vanity, forced to circle the pole forever, sometimes hanging upside down. But in the stillness of the night, she represents stability. The W is a strong architectural shape. It looks like a crown, or a mountain range, or a bird in flight. It is deeply embedded in the Milky Way. If you look at Cassiopeia, you're looking into the dense, starry spiral arm of our galaxy. The background is not black, but a rich, dark grey, dusted with the light of unresolved stars. Visualize sitting on that throne. It is a high vantage point, a chair set on the rim of the world. From here, you can watch the entire procession of the northern sky. The stars of Cassiopeia are markers of the seasons, rising high in the autumn, sinking low in the spring, but never setting. They are circumpolar, the sleepless sentinels. Let the queen watch over you. She does not sleep so that you may. She holds her position in the W, a rigid golden structure that fences in the darkness and keeps the night secure. Next to the queen stands her king, the constellation Cepheus. While less flashy than his wife's bright W, the shape of Cepheus is charmingly simple and nostalgic. It looks exactly like a child's drawing of a house, a square box with a triangle roof on top. The roof of this house points sharply toward the North Star. Cepheus is a subtle constellation, often requiring a darker sky to trace fully, but it feels like a shelter. It is a celestial cottage, a sanctuary built of stars, and glowing deep within this house is a hidden gem that defies the typical colour palette of the sky, the garnet star, or Muchefe. When the astronomer William Herschel first saw it, he was struck by its very fine, deep garnet colour. It is a red supergiant, one of the largest and reddest stars known. If placed in our solar system, it would consume everything out to the orbit of Saturn. Visualize a single glowing ember of coal or a drop of blood suspended in the window of the house. It is not the angry red of a warning light, but the cosy, warm red of a dying fire in a hearth. It pulsates slowly, breathing in and out over years. Imagine entering the house of Cepheus, closing the door on the cold wind of space, and warming your hands by the light of the garnet star. It is a deep, infrared heat that penetrates the chill, a living heart beating inside the skeletal frame of the king's house. Floating near the king and queen, embedded in the rich dust of the Milky Way, is a structure that feels more like a creature than a cloud, the Elephant's Trunk Nebula. To see it, one must look with the eyes of a long-exposure camera or the eyes of a vivid dream. It is a dark, dense globule of gas and dust, shaped like a long, winding trunk, silhouetted against the glowing backdrop of ionized hydrogen. Visualize a massive pillar of smoke, twisting and curling through a room filled with neon red light. The edges of the trunk are lined with bright rims, lit by the ultraviolet radiation of a massive star nearby. This is a region of compression and creation. Inside the dark, opaque trunk, protostars are squeezed into existence. It looks solid, like a trunk of dark stone or grey leather, reaching out to grasp a star. It is a tactile shape. You can almost feel the roughness of the dust, the cold density of the gas. It is a sculpture in the sky, carved by the winds of light. Let the image of this slow, lumbering shape drift through your mind. It moves with the patience of a giant, a slow, deliberate reach across the light years, gathering the dust of the universe into new forms. Between the W of Cassiopeia and the hero Perseus lies a treasure chest that seems to have spilled its contents into the void, the double cluster. To the naked eye, it appears as a bright, fuzzy patch, a knot in the Milky Way. But through binoculars, it explodes into two distinct glittering piles of diamonds. These are NGC 869 and NGC 884, two open star clusters that travel together. They are physically close to one another, both in the sky and in space, located about 7,000 light-years away in the Perseus arm of our galaxy. Visualize two heaps of precious stones poured out onto black velvet. One pile is slightly more condensed, the other more scattered, but both are dazzling. They contain hundreds of young, hot, blue-white supergiant stars, but scattered among the diamonds are a few rubies, red supergiant stars that have evolved faster than their siblings. The contrast is breathtaking. It is a display of opulence. The universe is not hoarding its beauty here, it is spending it freely. Imagine running your hands through these clusters, feeling the cool, sharp facets of the blue stars and the warm, smooth surfaces of the red ones. It is a sensory overload of sparkle, a glitter bomb frozen in time, offering a sense of infinite richness and abundance. Descending from the clusters, we find the source of one of the most beloved events in the night sky, the radiant of the Perseids. Every August, the Earth passes through the debris stream left behind by Comet Swift-Tuttle. The dust and pebbles from this comet slam into our atmosphere, creating a shower of shooting stars that all appear to streak outward from the constellation Perseus. Visualize the radiant point. It is like the center of a perspective drawing, or the end of a tunnel. The meteors are not actually coming from the stars of Perseus. They are just traveling parallel to each other, like railroad tracks, appearing to converge in the distance. But the visual effect is magical. It looks as though the hero Perseus is throwing spears of light across the sky. Imagine lying in a summer field, the grass cool beneath you, watching this display. The meteors range from faint scratches to bright fireballs that leave smoking trails of ionized gas that linger for seconds. They are silent fireworks. There is a rhythm to a meteor shower, a wait, a burst, a lull, a flash. It teaches patience. It teaches us to keep our eyes open to the dark, trusting that the light will come. Each streak is a grain of ancient history burning up, a tiny piece of a comet that has travelled billions of miles just to become a momentary wish in your sky. Let the gentle rain of light wash over you, cleansing the sky and clearing your mind. Finally, we turn away from the north and let our gaze slide down a long winding path that leads deep into the southern hemisphere. We follow the course of Eridanus, the celestial river. This is one of the longest and most wandering constellations in the sky, a meandering line of faint stars that flows like water. The river begins at the foot of Orion, near the bright star Rigel, and pours downward, twisting and turning, avoiding the other constellations as if flowing around rocks in a stream. It passes through the void, through quiet, empty regions of the sky where few bright stars shine. This emptiness gives it a feeling of depth and solitude. It is the river of the night. In mythology, this was the river into which Phaethon fell when he lost control of the sun chariot. But in the dreamscape, it is the river of Lethe, the river of forgetfulness and peace. Visualize a dark, cool current flowing silently through the stars. It has no banks, only the open void. It carries you away from the bright, busy hunting grounds of Orion, down into the quiet, mysterious south. Let yourself push off from the shore. Float on the back of Eridanus. The current is slow and steady. There are no rapids here, only a gentle downward drift. Follow the winding stars as they curve back and forth, lulling you into a rhythmic sway, carrying you deeper and deeper into the uncharted waters of the southern night toward a destination of absolute rest. And following the gentle winding current of that celestial river, we drift to the very end of the stream, where the waters of the cosmos deposit us on the shores of the ultimate realization. We have travelled past the fires of the stars, the silence of the voids, the swirling storms of the nebulae, and the icy grip of the dark. But the final wonder, the one that encompasses all others, is not found in the telescope. It is found in the eye that looks through it. The 101st fact is this: you are the universe experiencing itself. Consider the atoms that make up your body, the carbon in your muscles, the iron in your blood, the oxygen filling your lungs, and the calcium in your bones. Every single one of them was forged in the crushing heart of a star that died billions of years ago. You're not a stranger in this place. You're not a tiny, isolated observer looking up at a massive foreign ceiling. You are the ceiling. You are the dark. You are the light. You are a collection of ancient stardust that has come together after eons of wandering to form a consciousness that can look back at its source and marvel. When you look at the night sky, it is not a one-way street. It is a loop. It is the cosmos looking into a mirror. The photon that left a star 1,000 years ago has travelled across the terrifying vastness of space solely to land on your retina, and in that moment of contact the star is realised. Without you, the sky is just physics. With you, it is beauty. This is the secret that turns the cold void into a warm home. There is no separation. The vastness out there is mirrored by the vastness in here. You contain the same infinite potential, the same silence, and the same ability to create worlds within your dreams. You are the sky, finally awake, finally seeing itself. Let this profound connection dissolve the boundaries of your skin. Feel yourself expanding, losing your edges, blending into the velvet darkness, until there is no difference between the dreamer and the dream. You are everywhere. You are ancient. You are home. And now, the journey begins to slow. The great wheel of the galaxy continues its majestic turn, but it turns without effort, without sound, and without you needing to watch it. The observatory dome in your mind is beginning to rotate closed. Listen to the heavy, low rumble of the shutters sliding together, inch by inch, narrowing the view. The bright, piercing lights of Sirius and Vega are eclipsed by the descending roof. The complex swirls of the nebulae fade into the comforting grey of memory. The meteors have ceased their falling, the comets have returned to the deep freeze, the sky is darkening, the visual show is over. What remains is the feeling. The heavy, warm, golden feeling of knowledge settling into your bones. All these stars, all these stories, all these giants and dwarfs and rivers of light, they are no longer out there to be studied. They have been gathered up. They have been folded neatly and placed inside the treasure chest of your subconscious. You do not need to hold on to them. You do not need to remember their names or their distances. They are part of you now. They are the bedrock of your sleep. Feel the weight of the universe acting as a blanket. It is a heavy quilt, stitched with constellations pulled up to your chin. It is warm. It is protective. It is infinite. Your breath is slow, matching the rhythm of the pulsating stars. Your heart is steady, beating in time with the rotation of the planets. The silence of the void has moved inside your mind, clearing away the noise, sweeping the floors of your thoughts, leaving only a vast, clean, dark space ready for dreams. Drift, float, sink. There is nothing left to see. There is nothing left to learn. There is only the soft, velvet dark and the peace of the ages. The stars are keeping watch so you do not have to. You are safe in the arms of the galaxy. The light has faded. The stillness is absolute. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.